Today's special episode of Pardon My Take with Ryen Russillo and Mark Titus, Life Episode 2, is brought to you by our friends at Coors Light. If you want to relax, if you want to chill out, it's football season is now over, so it's time to chill out, sit on your couch, take a breath. Coors Light is the beer for you. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged. It's literally made to chill. It's as crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Perfect for a moment to unwind. When I crack open an ice-cold Coors Light, feels like everything in the world melts away. It is the best beer. It's also going to be springtime soon. Starting to get a little warmer weather. Nothing better than a little Coors Light outside, the backyard. Wherever you may be, Coors Light is the one I choose when I need to unwind. So when you hit that reset, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/take. CoorsLight.com/take. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And with that, let's get right into it. Life Episode 2. Okay. We are at Ryen Russillo's house. It is Ryen Russillo, Mark Titus, PFD, myself. Life Episode 2.
The afterlife.
The afterlife. Mm-hmm. What happens when you die? No, we're back. It's been, I think, it was 2.5 years ago.
Is it really?
Yeah, because my son is 2.5. So I've had 2 kids in between, and we're back.
How many kids do you
I
have?
have 2.
The way you phrased that,
yeah,
though.
it was kind
2
of weird.
kids
It
in
was like
between.
I've
Yeah.
had 2 kids in between.
Well, it was
Since
before
when
my son
first
was
kid.
born.
Right.
Although Ryan sends gifts to my son, not my daughter. He sent me LeBron's children's book. And I sent back a video of me just being like, we don't like this guy.
And then I sent him a 500-piece clear puzzle.
They just threw in the trash.
Right.
Like a clear jigsaw puzzle that
Yeah.
you have to just feel your way into putting together.
Yeah.
All the pieces are clear, and you just have to.
That's actually a huge dickhead gift.
Oh,
to somebody.
he. I mean, again, he sent me the LeBron book, and then this.
Okay, but I also sent you cars.
Yes, that's
that
true.
You didn't even know that I sent. I was like, hey, you playing with those cars? He's like, dude, he won't put them down. I was like, oh, that was for me. So I think I was a little resentful that I didn't get more props, not even from Big Cat, but more his son, because he apparently liked the gift.
He
And
did.
So then after that, I was like, all right, I'm going to send him the LeBron book. Maybe there was a lesson in there for him. And then when I sent the clear puzzle of 500 pieces, after I said yes on the order, I was like, that was kind of a dick move.
Showed up, I was just like,
$20.
what's going on?
I would hate that if somebody gave me a clear puzzle to do
Yeah.
because I would try to do it.
Same.
Right, you can't just throw it away. You
Yeah.
have to do it, and then
It's the
I
most
threw it away.
frustrating experience ever.
Big Cat, you didn't even try.
No,
'Cause
I
think
saw
in the
it. It
memo,
sat on my desk.
in the memo, I put for you and your son to enjoy for days on end or something.
It sat on my
Or a
desk,
year.
and then like a week later, Ryan was like, "Did you like that gift?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he's like, "It's a clear puzzle." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I took it out.
Big Cat, can you clear something up? Because I've been secretly living in shame for the last probably 2.5 years. Because you were telling somebody at the time, like when somebody is 9 months pregnant, they're
Yes.
actually 10 months pregnant.
Yes.
And I pretended to be like, yeah, that's right. And this entire, like for the last 2.5 years, I've been trying to do the math in my head and figure out how many months pregnant a woman is when she
It's
gives
like
birth.
they get to like 9.5, 10. It's like closer to 10 than 9.
Oh, I
But-
thought the whole time it was like
No.
a whole year zero thing never
No,
existed,
no.
so you get that
no,
extra year.
It's
This is the-
longer than you think.
this is that bodybuilding forum.
Yeah,
discussion
right,
about how many days in a
that
week.
conversation.
But in Arizona,
Start
though,
that back up.
They don't change the time.
change
Yeah.
the
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
that's true.
so it's still 8.5. I think.
All right, so yeah, we're back. We'll chop it up.
I don't think I've seen you guys since then. Have we? Like in person?
Well, you
Or
two-
I saw you in New York at one point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you-
I was driving over here. I realized the pandemic. I frankly haven't seen anybody. But like,
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know when
Titus
last time
and
I saw you guys.
Russillo are like hardcore, like stay in their house.
Yes.
COVID scary
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
We've been living our life for a while now, and maybe
Whatever, man, it's not a
everyone in
joke.
Barstool got COVID. That might have
Yeah.
had
Yeah,
something to do.
I have natural. We all have
I-
a
twice
lot
I
of
got
natural immunity. Yeah, I got it twice within like a 3-week span.
Every
There's
time,
a
set
couple
a
guys that
record.
work there. Their desks alone. I'll be like, all right, well,
Well, Ryan
Every
asked
time
us to put
someone's-
on masks when we came inside of his house today. He
every,
said, "Fuck you, lib."
hey, look, the mandate's the 15th. You know,
every time someone's like, "Oh, so you guys went back to work really quickly," and I'm like, "Yeah." And literally everyone got COVID, so
Right away.
Kind of probably not the smartest, but
We did that. We were actually like ahead of the curve a little bit because we said, "Well, we're in each other's quarantine bubble. It'll be
Yeah.
fine because it's just us hanging out, so we can come into the office." Little did we realize that, like 3 weeks later, everybody else also had that exact same mentality, but they were also coming to work too. So now all of our bubbles overlapped. We didn't really plan this out that well.
It was the Dabo method. Just everyone get it.
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
That was
We'll-
his.
all the bowl games. We'll be able to play the bowl game. No problem.
Yeah, see, I mean, have you noticed? I mean, basically, once one league did it, everybody else. The NBA just was like, all right, we got it. Like 100 positive tests in one day. And
I mean,
then
the
it
NFL
just-
playoffs.
Right, the NFL playoffs, nothing.
No,
And
let's.
then-
I think we should give more credit to the NFL for stopping COVID in its tracks.
Yeah,
that's also
once
another
the
way to look at
playoffs
it,
started.
yeah.
I just wanted to tip the cap to Omicron for respecting big games as well. That I noticed like college basketball teams were testing positive like crazy when it wasn't necessarily a big game, but then in college football bowls were getting canceled, but the playoffs weren't.
Yeah.
And like the games that
except for Michigan.
except for your guys'.
Well,
your
yeah, that was
your
bad.
guys' one,
And
yeah,
Michigan
yeah.
ducked Michigan State.
Michigan did duck Michigan
Yes.
State. Yeah,
But yeah,
that was a big.
that's
game.
our
But,
COVID
yeah.
update.
Anyway,
Michigan's
it's-
amazing. I mean, that's the kind of program. That's the template, right?
Harbaugh owns Ohio State. We were just saying it before we started. That's a fact.
No, but if you say like, what do I want if I get hired tomorrow by Auburn, it's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to be Michigan of the South.
right, exactly. I want to bully ball.
You just run the football.
Yeah.
How come you guys didn't
This
think about
is-
stopping the run?
This is Dan. I was prepared for you and I to be on a team like Big
We
Ten.
are, yeah, okay.
Big Ten versus Russillo.
That's true. But yeah,
instead-
Russillo doesn't. Russillo, like, I swear to God, at the end of the college football season, he was like, "Listen, a healthy LSU could beat every team in the country."
Well, they beat A&M.
It's like,
Came
you
down to
were
last
so-
play against Bama. I don't know.
They're one
They were
quarterback
st-
away. Yeah.
They were starting a fucking wide receiver in their bowl game against Kansas State.
That
It's like,
game, I
but if
didn't
you
like,
look
right.
at the recruiting, LSU should win this game.
So actually, Ryan, I have a.
That team this year will have 35 pros.
I want to hear your thoughts because like we're probably the only bigger LSU fans than you are.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm
They
curious.
ask about you guys a lot. So I think they're done. I think they're done with you guys now.
There is some sneaky resentment that Russillo holds towards us
Yes.
for loving LSU, but we're not going to apologize for loving LSU. What are your thoughts about Brian Kelly and his tenure there? Because right now, I think we've swung over. We still love LSU, but I'm rooting a little bit harder for it to be an absolute train wreck with
root for
Brian
that
Kelly
guy.
there.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly wins everywhere he goes. All right. I mean, it's not even
That's
debatable.
not why I can't root for him.
Right. The dancing videos.
That's not why I can't root for him.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go ahead and fill us in?
No, I mean he seems like a guy that just goes wherever the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
Like, no loyal. I'm talking about him bouncing around jobs.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't turn him into Todd Graham here. I mean, you get offered 8 figures to go to LSU. I mean, what's he supposed to do? I think Kelly's a winner, and I think he's going to have an awesome staff. I think there's always a little hesitancy when you're not from there. Whenever you're a guy that's not from the South and you're at one of the schools, like kind of, look, you could say the same thing about a lot of the schools down South, but it's almost like you get an extra year of being disappointed if you're from the area.
Yeah.
Like Scott
Well,
Frost rule.
It's Scott Frost. It's Jim Harbaugh. Like, if you
By the way,
go-
Nebraska was good. You were on that all year. That was one of the best, worst record teams this year.
the best 3-win team I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
Every game they played within 8 points.
Do a 30 for 30 on it.
It was crazy. Like, seriously,
The best team that
they
sucked.
could have kept the semifinal closer than Michigan and Georgia.
Wow.
They could have been within. They probably would have played Georgia within like 8 points. I swear to God. I swear to God. I don't know how it happens.
I don't
They
know if I'm
would've-
quite ready to go there
Yeah,
yet.
no,
Especially
I
when we're
am.
talking about Michigan being the model.
God damn it.
Titus,
No,
how are
but
you doing?
that's Nebraska. Nebraska, though, sorry, and I'll shut up. But like Nebraska, that's when you're like, gambling's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I figured out this team where they're getting too many points
just-
because I
every
watch them
game.
every week and
Yes.
whatever. Anyway, you guys have more important stuff.
I'm just
No,
curious
I
how
think
Titus is doing.
what just happened right there, by the way, has been me every time I get out of my house. Is that like I get in front of somebody and I just like see my little window to talk about something because I haven't really socialized much, and then we just go nuts talking. Like we just make one little comment about the Big Ten, and now we're gonna go
now
through
we're
like
gone.
every Big
Yeah.
Ten school,
Yes.
going over their depth chart.
Purdue had a pretty nice season.
Yeah.
Big win.
Anyway,
Purdue didn't screw around. Did you guys want to do a Big Ten recap?
I'm ready to do it anytime you want. Indiana, I knew they were frauds.
So what's the how many days? What's the longest you've gone without talking to a person, Titus? 30 days, 40 days?
like outside of my not counting
Yourself?
I'm
Your
not
dog
counting
and your
FaceTime
girlfriend,
and calling people.
Oh, you had a girlfriend this whole time? I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, you don't know hard living.
It's not hard mode.
Right.
Russillo like opened up his house and was like, "Welcome."
This is
in.
a nice.
I've been
I gotta
waiting
say,
2
by the way,
years."
I was wondering where my ringer salary went, and to see it in person, it is a sight to behold to be here.
It's actually a really nice house. I'm a little bit concerned with how clean it is. That to me is
What if this isn't my house?
Yeah, that would be great.
That would make this actually does feel like an Airbnb that somebody set up ahead of time, with the exception of Ryan put up his storyboard from his latest screenplay, which he spent a long time working on. And we came in, we looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, you got a little 4-act screenplay over here." And I started reading the actual notes on it, and I didn't want to be rude, but I was like, "How the fuck does any of this make sense?" And then we came back upstairs later, and Ryan was like, "I thought you guys would take a closer look," and then we realized it was a joke with just a bunch of notes down from the world's worst movie in pre-production. But yeah, this place it feels very clean to me, which is concerning because you spend a lot of time in here, apparently.
I just hit a certain age where I go, I'm just sick of looking at stuff. I don't want stuff around. This Japanese minimalist is the inspiration behind the finishes here. Although a lot of the wood is Russian oak, reclaimed Russian oak.
What is that age?
The reclaimed Russian oak?
No.
Well, there's different various stages of Russian history.
Well,
where
I'm
there's
actually-
desirous woods from many times.
It's actually funny because it's like if we're gonna hop into some life shit, it is very funny I think that you're past that age, or were past that age a long time ago, but like when you hit that like 27 or 28 and you're like, I kind of don't want to live in a dump all the time.
Yeah, I remember I had a
want to
friend.
have the remote.
It's about that age where I had a friend go, all right, what do you want to do? Do you want to watch a game? And he goes, I don't want to watch a game at your house. It's always a shithole. And I went, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. And, I just always had stuff. There was always stuff on the couches. When I grew up, I'm the oldest of 5, our house was fucking trashed all the time. So, like, if you have kids running around, your house is just going to be a mess. So, like, I don't know what it was. I just sort of used to it. I don't think I was a sloppy guy, Titus.
Has making money made it easier
Yes.
to get rid of stuff, though? Like, is that part of it? Like, when you're younger and you have no money, you're like, I can't get rid of this shirt that I wear once a year because I might need it again or something. And then, like, as you get older, you're just like, fuck it, I can just buy a new one. And you just kind of don't need as much stuff.
Yeah. Do you have a pile though? Like I have. I mean, everyone knows in our office, we're hoarders because we get shit sent to us. But my house is very nice and neat, and then there's one closet that if you open it, it could fall. Like I opened it once, and like my son was looking. He's like, "Wait, what's in there?" Like all these toys and all this shit that you've just been. Do you have that closet here?
I do. I have a box.
That's actually the life advice. You just got to make enough money that you can have one closet with all your shit.
I packed up a box when I moved from Burlington above the restaurant that I lived above. So when I started out on this career, this journey, it's like 20 years ago to like the month, I packed up this box that I have just moved every time.
Yep.
So I've moved it from Boston to Jersey to the Vineyard to Boston to Hartford to West Hartford to LA to Malibu to LA. And the thing is, I haven't opened it. And it's just a bunch of weird
Can we
shit.
open it?
Yeah, what's in
we
the
should
box?
Can we go open
What's
it?
in the box, Ryan?
I don't even know what's in it. It's just, I was like, hey, I'll just put the weird shit will be in here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I haven't had a moment where I go like, hey, I want it. So maybe we'll do it. Not tonight though. No way.
But that is like
Do you feel like if you open the box, you're like, there's something about breaking that seal, like you've gone all this time without
like
looking.
the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just break down. I don't
Old
want that
Ryan
to happen.
comes back.
Yeah, I miss that guy.
2002 Ryan. Yeah.
I don't love his bank account, but I do miss that guy.
There's a lot of times where I'm like, especially like on the weekend when I'm, doing a lot of parenting, and I'm like, I miss the dude who can just go and get drunk at a bar at like noon. But then you don't really miss him. But you do.
What is the biggest difference between having the two kids? Not emotionally, because like I mean, your answer is going to be like I love more or whatever, blah blah blah. Who cares?
That is the truth, though. That's one of those ones that like if you don't have kids, and I'm not shaming anyone, but like when you do have a kid, you're like, oh fuck, this is completely different than anything else.
I have a dog. I get it, Dan.
Yeah.
It's a love you can't understand.
What is the biggest difference day to day life, or like the thing you've had to cut out that you didn't anticipate having to cut out? In having kids.
It's like there's like very little time where I can just do nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
like
no
there's
down-
there's like maybe It's like Friday night and then like maybe like an hour or two on like a weeknight where I can literally just do absolutely nothing. That's the part. Like where you can't like I can't just like sleep till 11 and be like I'm going to do nothing on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the biggest time thing. But it's, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Don't have kids. I actually think you should, but
Who, me or all of us?
Everybody.
no, yes.
Why'd I get a no?
I don't know. I feel like
I'd like to examine this a little further.
I do feel like I might be on team no kids.
Yeah, which is fine. I
Interesting.
mean, I don't
Which
think,
I-
I think it's for not
Why
for
don't you
everyone.
commit to it then?
I don't think I'm ready to commit to it yet.
Oh, all right.
But I feel like team no kids is, I don't know. It's a selfish thing to say, but I'm completely open
think
with the
it
fact
is.
that I'm okay having no kids, and I feel like my biggest fear is that I'll get to the age of like 50 and 60 and be like, I wish I had had kids earlier.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
Especially if you're in
I'll
a
look back
wheelchair,
at
like really
myself.
young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Be
I
like,
wish I had
could-
had kids earlier, and I had kids when I was 34. Like,
Yeah,
that's
'cause
not that late.
You start to do the math, and you're like, oh, I'll be this age when they graduate from high school, this age when they get married, and then you're like, wow, that's pretty old. But then wait 5 years from now, that's going to be even older. And so I think about that, but I'm like, I really do not want kids right now.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think any. Yeah, I mean,
I don't
it's
think you're
not
ever
for
ready,
everyone.
right? Like there's never a time when you say to yourself, or you're the one that's been through it. But
Yeah,
like,
I think there is a weird thing that like switched in my brain where I was for a very long time like, I don't want kids, and then like kind of right around like 33, 34, I was like, wait, I kind of do want kids.
I mean, I definitely want kids. I know that I want kids at some point in my life. I think that's something I would like to do, but at no point, if you ask, like right now, even if I was happily married and whatever, I don't want kids right now.
right.
I'm not
think
gonna
that-
want them next year either. And like every time you ask me, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, not
It
now.
might-
I don't want
it
to fuck
did-
up what I got going on right now.
It did kind of switch in my brain where it was like one day it was like, no, I don't really want kids, and the next I was like, actually, I kind of
Actually,
do.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also think that like the internet does a terrible like it becomes like kind of cool to complain about your kids online.
Yeah.
And it's like that's so lame. I don't like to do that because I think it's just lame, and also someday your kid's probably gonna read it. And it's like I also like
Start
to be,
deleting. It's like when Russell Westbrook ends up on the Rockets.
yeah, right. To be totally honest though, like it's fucking fun. Like it's actually like a ton of fun. And it's very different and it's hard, but it's fun. So
If there was a mistake and there was a child on the way for me, I would be fuck yeah. I'd be like, okay, let's
Right,
do this.
right,
I'd be happy
right.
about it.
you adapt very quickly. Yeah.
Does that make us? Does that? I'm with you, PFT. That like, but does that make us cowardly that we don't have it in us to just like dive?
No, I got
into
cum.
It? We
Show,
we don't- we
prove
don't-
it.
we can't just like step up and be like, all right, let's take this challenge on. We have to like let the challenge accidentally approach us, and then we can handle
It's
it.
interesting that you say that because I feel like that's how I've kind of stumbled into a lot of different things that I've done. I've like been
Yeah.
forced into situations that I did not initially want to get into.
Right.
That I'm like, okay, let's do this and make the best of it. And then I'm always like really happy afterwards.
Right.
So maybe it does. Maybe it just takes like one night, like one really strong swimmer, and that's it.
I remember the first time I thought I was going to have a kid. I was 21.
Ooh.
Yeah, I headed back to UVM for my senior year, and this older woman, fitness instructor, no big deal, she was like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, this is going to fuck up my senior year so bad.
Yeah, that would.
That was definitely a time I wasn't ready,
Yes,
and it wasn't going
yes.
to turn back on anytime soon. And then, guess what? Magic of science. I think she was just fucking with me, seeing how I would react. Pretty nasty.
That's actually a funny.
It wasn't funny for me at the time, but I remember being like, well, fuck, like, I guess, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm gonna have to, like, this is going to, like, can I go out on Thursdays still?
I'll cut off Wednesdays.
right. Like, will it be a custody thing? Because I'll definitely, like, not have 50-50. I'm 21 and in school, and, like, we have a dog, and there's 6 of us, so the kid can't probably stay with us that much. So, anyway, look, didn't happen, and here we are. So
We should also acknowledge that we're having this serious conversation. Ryan's wearing shorts that are like 3 inch.
these are 5, but my thighs have been blowing up this past year.
The shorts are short enough that you're like, I don't want kids.
They're gross. I didn't mean to sit next to you guys like this,
It is.
but there's so much thigh right now. I mean, my thighs have definitely improved. I don't know if we're at PFT teardrop level, but we're getting there. How
They're
are your
nice.
legs? How are your legs?
My legs are not as good as so I spent like this last year or so just working on cardio, and then in the last month, Billy's got me in the gym working out more. So the thighs are going to come back soon, but they're not where I'd want them to
Those
be.
things are going to pop.
Yeah.
How about you, Titus? You all
No,
cardio. You're all cardio.
I'm all
right?
cardio.
You're-
I'm skinny.
you're-
I'm wasting away.
you're Cali.
And I'm curious your thoughts on this, Ryan. Like I strangely am not insecure about it because I
You don't look bad. You're just
like
thin.
I'm very very thin. My arm. I have noodle arms. I have noodle. Like I'm fully aware of this, but I like it. I feel great. I love.
Well, that's
I love,
Cali.
I love running. I love. I'm being. I don't know. But then like part of me is like if I was wearing 5-inch inseams, I would. It's a disaster down there.
Be
So-
honest. How often do you take a look at Fat Titus and you're like,
Oh, all the time.
This is awesome.
That's
that
what.
I'm
That's
not
why.
this.
That's why. Like, I don't want to. Like, I'll go through phases where I also am like, I need to start lifting more, and I will lift hard for like a month, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, it's happening again.
I'll
I'm
admit,
getting bigger again, and I just
What, just from lifting or eating?
Well, he's a beast when he lifts.
I know.
I was the original Zion. Like we went over this the first
Hey,
time.
you
around.
remember
Yeah.
Zion?
Yeah.
You remember him?
Remember that guy?
I think Russillo said that he was his third best all time.
No, I said he was my favorite single player to watch last season. Did set a record for points per 36.
Yeah.
Didn't know you were getting stats in this pod, but I got a few for you.
What are his points per 36 this year?
0. But he hasn't played yet, so it's actually.
How much does he
incomplete.
weigh?
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I don't
wait,
know right
would
now.
you? Was it you who's like, or no? Someone was like, yeah, Zion. Like people were saying he was 300.
That's
and
what
then,
some people were saying.
And then like the Pelicans were correcting and being like, no, he's 280. It's like, but that's still,
It's
I think they said
very
270.
big.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's like, but that's not good.
no, I mean what I've heard about Zion is a lot like Titus. Like,
Yeah.
you had to figure it out a little later in life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're doing strictly cardio now? Did you?
I do basically like I back to the point was like I if I put on like 3 pounds, I start freaking out and I get PTSD from when I was like fat, and so
I wish I had that.
I just go I stop lifting and I'm like I'm getting too big and I'm not even getting big. I just like freak out, so I just start running more.
wouldn't
And
it
I like it. I like the life I have, but I also realize, I'm getting my ass kicked in any situation.
That's okay.
It would be
that's all right.
very, very funny though if you got really fat, like all-time fat, to the point where you could go show up at pickup games and just look like a
score people
schmuck,
Yeah.
and be the last one picked, and then get out there and start wetting threes on them.
Are you
weighing
playing
like
at
300
all?
Pounds.
I'm not. Where do you play?
Up here, it's hit or miss for me. You got to come up. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Because I was asking. Spencer Hawes is in the area.
Yeah,
and I
he
was
does,
like, "Do you
yeah.
want to come play?" And he's like, "Do you really want me to come play with
Yeah.
you guys?" I'm like, "I think he's like only still 30 and he's 6'10".
Yeah.
It's
Steve-
crazy too. Like I mean, Mark, because you played with those guys, but like the pickup game I play in, there's this one guy who played in Europe, and it's like he just dunks on everyone.
Yeah,
it's like
this
not
is-
fun.
My problem,
like,
with,
dude, what are you
my
doing?
problem with pickup is, I'm at the perfect level where I can enjoy it no matter what. Like I'm better than everyone for the most part, but I'm not so good that I can do that where I could just like go out and
Right.
dominate everybody.
Like he doesn't
But-
try, and he just wins.
But I'm good enough to where I get frustrated when no one if no one knows how to play.
People aren't
I lose
moving
my
without the
mind
ball.
about like like
Are you still
help side
just,
defense
like-
and like calling out screens and shit
Right.
like that? I'll go nuts. But
that's fair.
But the flip side of that,
Nail.
usually like people that are in that position are then so good where they can just dominate, and I'm not good enough to
But do you
over,
still
but-
light it up? Like can you just not play for 6 months and go out and just rain?
My
that good of a
ball
shooter,
handling will
right?
go.
Ball
My-
handling's
my
the first
ball
thing to go.
handling is terrible.
Right.
Cardio takes me a while,
Yeah.
but shooting, yeah. Like if you give me like 10 minutes to warm up, yeah, like I'll just go nuts. Yeah, I could.
That's like a
I'll
superpower.
never-
I mean, it's
yeah.
the coolest thing
It's,
ever.
it's,
that you
it's
can
right.
do.
I'm gonna leave my house.
Yeah, no.
So-
He lives here now.
From my perspective, back when I was playing ball when I was like 13, if I was shooting and my shot would hit like the left side of the rim, I would just compensate and start to aim for the right side of the rim the entire time.
Like
And
a
hope-
sniper.
Yeah. So if you,
That's-
it's like I'm playing the wind indoors. Like
Yeah.
something's off about my shot today.
Yeah.
I'm missing all of them to the left. For you, if you hit like the back rim a couple times, you're like, I'm gonna start aiming for the front of the net, or you can just like lock
start
in at
making
the
these.
actual basket itself.
Yeah, I don't know. You just don't do that anymore. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like you just adjust.
It's
I
just a
don't know.
feel.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just a feel thing.
It's all. Whenever I try to talk about it, it's like, well, you didn't play in any games anybody ever cared about. I'm like, yeah, but I still do understand. Like, my whole point about Steph is he's the greatest shooter because every single calibration of the release is like he's dialed it in that much. So if it's a floater and he has this amount of momentum going forward, then it's calibrated off of his hands. If his legs are strong, it's less out of his hands. If his legs are weak, he gives it more. And it's like, obviously, Titus knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly,
but
yeah.
no one ever wants to listen to me talk about it, even though it's like, well, I have also shot a basketball. I don't know how many fucking times because it's probably the only thing I really enjoy.
It's like, I mean, it's like watching Ray Allen. Like when you watch Ray Allen, it's every single time is the exact same time, and it's insane to watch because you're like, how does he do it every single time exactly the same?
You know what's crazy about Ray Allen though, and I remember because I was working with the Celtics at the time. He came in and said I tweaked it a little. He told Donnie Marshall, who was his boy from UConn, who was the co-host of the show that we were on. We were doing, pre-half, post. Hank knows. And he was like, Ray fucked with his release. And I'm like, come on, Ray, like what? And he showed, and he was like, he had this little like final little like thing at the top of the release, and it was even better because Ray was like, hey, I tweaked it a little, like a golf swing. He goes, wait until I see it now. So it actually, your point is for the most part accurate. If there are any huge Ray Allen fans,
they're like, no, Big Cat doesn't know what he's talking about.
Ryan, you're old. How come people didn't shoot 3-pointers in the 90s?
It was, you thought you needed to run everything through the post. Honestly, this isn't really that different than, Al Jefferson, I think, got 20 post touches a game in the NBA for a season not 10 years ago. So I think, much like the shot clock, where they were like, enough of this, we need a shot clock because guys are just icing the ball the entire time, Mike in years, bringing a shot clock. I think you should get rid of the three.
Oh,
really?
I love that. Let's
I know.
go.
Oh, here we go.
That's the take I was waiting for.
So, and do what? Get a
4-point
4?
line.
Yeah. 4.
I will say,
Hard to be psyched to be like, now I don't have to cross half court as much.
It's very frustrating that everybody can shoot now. Like when I was my generation, which I'm like Steph's age and Durant's age, like when I was playing basketball, I was a specialty. I was like the reason I was on I had value to like my AAU team that I was on. I was the shooter on the team. Like everyone kind of had their own little role. Now, like if our AAU team was coming up, Greg Oden would be jab stepping and shooting threes, and they would have no purpose for me. I would serve
Joe
zero
Harris
purpose.
got paid.
Yeah, but Joe can do a lot of stuff. No offense.
Our
playoffs?
No, but he could still.
I was kidding.
the 3-point specialists are dying, is what I'm saying. I'm worried. I'm worried about the 3-point specialists when you have guys like freaking Paolo, like all the guys in the Jabari Smith and Paolo and Chet Holmgren. You got guys that are that big that are now.
Yeah, that's stupid. How
It's
good
stupid.
they are.
How do we fix that? What about guys?
No,
like,
look, the shot making, that's what was always so stupid about these arguments. Like, it's just so weird that we had a collection of like 20 guys that played in the same era just simultaneously shitting on every guy that played now. Like, it was just the strangest thing. Like, humans have evolved in every single way except we're supposed to believe that basketball players are going in the opposite direction because the shot making alone is crazy. But the line, like, there's nights where I watch games like, oh, cool, you guys are going to take 60-plus threes combined, and it's just like you're not even doing anything.
Right.
So, not to say that like cuts and elbow cuts and pinch post and all of this stuff or double post, like people would actually have two guys on the lower blocks and set up their offense that way. I mean, it's crazy.
That's also why the Warriors were so much fun because it wasn't. Everyone thought it was just threes, but there was a lot of other stuff, and they also had two of the best 3-point shooters of all time.
And that whole run, if they weren't first in defense, they were second or third, and then the final year when they lost, everybody got hurt in 19. They had slipped a little bit.
This has just become an NBA pod.
I know. There was a Wizards coach who went into the stands tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah.
For what?
Some guy was talking shit to him. You know how DC is. And he just turned around. He had it. He almost went like Steven Jackson, but I think Montrezl Harrell grabbed him and brought him to the back, so it didn't get ugly.
I'm just shocked that there was a fan in the stands in DC to go.
What age?
Who's passionate about it?
I'm passionately apathetic about the Wizards. I will not ever care about. I can guarantee you, I will not waste a second of my time worrying about the Washington Wizards.
Well, a better question though. What age should you stop saying "fuck you, loser" to pro athletes while you're in a game?
Good. That's a good life advice. Yeah. Like, at what age should you take a step back? I think it's not. I think you don't lose it. I think you just internalize it better. Like there was the UNC Louisville game last week where it was very much rigged, and I had Louisville, and I got very angry, and I thought in my head, I wonder what this ref's name is. Like, I'd like to find out. And they're like, you know what? No. You're an adult. You have 2 children. Chill out. So I think
What were you going to
internalize
do?
it.
Tweet about him?
I don't know. I just had
Trying
the
to figure
thought.
out the connection. That's
I
Send
was
him a
very
nasty-
upset.
Nasty letter.
But that's the thing is I think you don't lose it. You just know how to bottle it a little bit more.
The initial thought still enters the brain. It's just how
Right.
you handle it after that.
Yeah,
think
you
about
don't
the
act on 'em.
consequences to your
Yeah.
actions.
Right. You learn how to be a sports fan where you can have a little bit of
Right.
perspective where you're like, for 10 seconds, you can still get very upset. And then you can be like, you know what? This is stupid.
It's also
Stop.
it's weird to me to get mad at somebody who's younger than me.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
once-
the ref probably is older.
Ref's older,
Yeah.
so he's a fair target.
Yes.
But if I'm watching like a college game, I have a hard time getting mad at any of the players.
You can't. I think the move is you have to get mad at the collective. It has to be the kids these
Yes.
days.
Or
It
the
has
coach.
to be
Well-
the culture of
TikTok.
yeah. It can't be like individual people.
Like
that
life
you're-
hack is I just say they're just kids, and everyone knows that when I say they're just kids, I really fucking hate this kid. I can't believe he blew this game. But you just say they're just kids, and it's good.
Right.
They're just kids.
Right.
You get mad at the system,
Right.
I think, as you get older.
Yes.
No, but it is weird. People get mad at like college kids, like fucking. You can't get mad at.
Have you ever sent anything to a recruit that turned down Wisconsin?
I did slide into Caleb Williams' DMs. Well, I did. I mean, what do you want me to say? I did.
Did he respond to you?
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
How
And
how
you
long
DM
after you DM'd him did he commit to USC?
It was about a week and a half.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it-
No, I was like,
All right.
and I had some conversations with some people at Wisconsin. And I was like, listen, if you know his people, like, tell him, like, we'll make a T-shirt. And we'll sell it, and it will be sick.
Wait, so there's a question. Who would have made more in the NIL, Titus or PFT?
That's a good question. Well, probably Titus, because he'd be like, I'm not good at sports.
Yeah, Titus would have cleaned up,
Yeah.
dude.
You would have cleaned
would-
up.
You would have
had-
cleaned
I would've
you had
up.
all
You
this
were really, like,
character.
His T-shirts.
Yeah.
was-
Pioneer.
He would have made a T-shirt with
That was the
Barstool.
Katie Nolan
I would've-
T-shirt that you wore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
would have made a T-shirt with Barstool, and you would have sold. Like, we made a hat with Wisconsin safety that sold like I think it was like 15 or 20,000.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy for him.
Like
50.
I'm so happy.
$15,000 or $20,000 he made.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
no.
Did
But
we
like
go
we-
out in LA seeing this guy's hat on?
But those are like, you know, you would have
I sold
absolutely
when
cleaned
when
up.
I was in school.
He would've.
Yes.
we made Club Chill shirts. We took the Run DMC logo and made the shirts. My buddy was like screwing around with graphic design, and so his idea was like we're just gonna parody like iconic logos. So we started with Run DMC because it's the easiest one. It's red bars and then letters, and then he just bailed on it. So that's why that became like the logo. Is because
Yeah.
he's like I'm gonna make a bunch, and he had all these ideas. He did one, he quit. So that kind of became
Sounds
the,
like every college kid.
Yes. Like, this is going to
so
be
that
sick.
the Run
Zuckerberg
DMC
over here.
I had a buddy who made like probably about $5,000 off of just fuck Ohio State shirts.
I
When we played Ohio State.
We sold those shirts, Dan. I think it was 55,000. I couldn't keep it all. But
Yeah.
I made my senior year at Ohio State. I made $55,000 that I had to donate to charity. That was part of the deal. So there's
that's
this.
lame.
Oh man.
There's this charity
definitely kept
in
some.
Columbus.
You kept a lot.
It's called A Kid Again. It's like a Make a Wish type deal.
You don't have to pretend. Steph.
basi-
It's been a long time.
Making
I was-
most of your wish.
Yeah.
I was gonna say so I give all the money to this charity, and the guy who runs the charity, every time I see him to this day, it's been like 10, 15 years now. He thinks I'm like a saint. He thinks I'm like the nicest guy in the world because I gave him like $55,000, and I'm like I cannot
That's a
stress.
lot of cash.
I cannot stress enough. I would have kept all of this.
Yes,
if I
every
could've.
single dollar.
Every single time.
Wait, did you guys? I feel like you thought it was weird that I slid into Caleb Williams DMs.
No,
It's-
because you DM a lot of big heavy hitters.
Like, why? Why wouldn't I? I just wanted to let him know.
I think
He
it's
gave out
fucking
the
weird.
double sigh right there.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you go,
Yeah.
no,
All right.
it's a yes.
It's a
So is
dangerous
this
precedent.
weird?
It's a dangerous precedent. It's
To me, it's like I don't know. If I can even change your mind by 1%, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Try?
What was your pitch?
I was like, hey, dude, like we could, if you ever wanted to make merch, we with my push, and I was like, you come on our podcast. Also, Madison is awesome.
We still have the Call Her Daddy merch licensing, so we could maybe do some sort of
I don't
promo
know. I
deal.
would have been mad at myself if he's like,
Some crops.
yeah, like I guess I care too much.
See, here's the thing. This is a way worse answer than the first one because I just always assume it's default to content.
No.
Like I think it's hilarious.
No,
that
I
like,
wanna
oh,
be a
that's funny.
booster. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
were
oh, yeah.
serious about trying to close the deal to Madison.
If I'm very realistic. I don't think Wisconsin will ever win a national title in basketball or football. So if I could ever get,
That's ridiculous to say in basketball. You're on the cusp of it. Like, it can happen.
yeah, and then Coach K fucking cheated.
All right, but what I'm saying is that, like, when you're like to rule people out or rule teams or players, like, I don't like when somebody says, "Oh, this person's never going to win anything."
No,
that's the easiest thing to say because the math is in your favor that your point is going to be right. But when you're on the cusp of something, like, look how bad Auburn is right now. They played for 2 national titles in almost a decade plus. It doesn't. What is this rant about again? Anyway, the point is
but that's
that you
Auburn.
can't say never. You can't say never about Wisconsin basketball.
I can say never if I don't try to get myself in the game here.
All right, I see what you're doing.
I would love to be a booster. I would love
What do you
to
have
be
to
a
do?
booster.
When do you become a booster? What
I
level
would
is
drop
that?
bags if I could. I don't know
I-
how.
Yeah.
I think
feel like-
Dockers come into play.
Yeah. If you got the cell phone on the belt on the outside of your
Yeah.
pants,
Yeah.
you're a booster.
You got to just take a bunch of like meetings in fucking hotels. We'll be back with some more from Titus and Russillo and us. Before we do that, though, Sling. Go to sling.com/barstool to sign up now and try it for free. If you love watching live sports but you're tired of the high prices, it's time to take control of your TV experience. It's time you got Sling. Sling is a place where your favorite sports channels like ESPN, FS1, TNT, and more come together for less. Watch exclusive new Barstool content and past episodes, the Yak and Stool streams, and go check it out. Sling, it's the cheapest way to watch college hoops, the NBA playoffs, the entire Formula One season, and more. Sling is easy to set up, easy to use, and there's no contracts. Sign up now and try it for absolutely free. Whatever you're into, Sling is there, where you can find live sports you love all in one place. Go to sling.com/barstool to sign up now and try it for free. Sling.com/barstool. Sign up now and try it for free. Sling is the best. It has everything you need, including Barstool programming and all the sports. Sling.com/barstool. Sign up and try it for free today. Go again, sling.com/barstool. Okay, back to more life.
I hear
Shakes
what
and
you're
hands.
saying, that it could, if you could affect it even a little
half a
bit,
percent.
but it's just
We
I don't
should
know.
be
but
asking this guy about boosters.
I'm saying this as
I
a
guess
guy
it's
though.
weird.
I'm saying this as a guy. I don't DM anybody. Like I think like texting anybody is wrong.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you're a little
I'm like
antisocial
no
like
one
that.
wants to hear from me at all. So maybe I'm not the guy to
Which
ask.
is very wrong.
Yeah. So I couldn't imagine doing that, but you're different. You do, to your credit, you do slide in the DMs a lot of different
Do you
people.
still DM with Durant? That's probably is that the most famous person you DM with?
I've given up DMing with him, yeah, because he just, I don't know.
I don't know. It feels like there's more on this.
No, he
More to
just
the story.
doesn't. He doesn't. I don't think he wants to come on, so I've given up.
I think we've become as a podcast too nice to Kevin
Yeah,
Durant.
we're pro
'Cause
Durant.
He used to actually hit Big Cat back way more frequently when we
Yes.
would just shit on him all the time and call him a baby back bitch.
Yeah.
And then we changed our tune on Durant and I think we're being honest about it now, where it's kind of relatable and endearing how much he's online and how good he is at using. Now that he's taken all the A material that he was putting on his burners and he's using that just from his main account, being like "fuck you" to people on Twitter. Now we kind of like him.
I also think like I think that people not replying on Twitter is weirder than people replying at this point. Like when I reply to someone, they're like, "Oh, you're triggered." It's like, I'm on here. Like, why wouldn't I engage? I think it's weird for people to just tweet into the void and never respond to anyone. What? You think that's weird too?
Oh, I know you're talking about me.
No, I'm not.
I never respond.
No, I know, but I'm not talking about you. You have your own way, which I think is like, that's your personality. I'm just saying, like, when Kevin Durant responds, everyone's like, "Oh, he's triggered. Oh, you're too online too much." Like, I think it's like, no, dude, he likes to respond to people.
You're right about that, because here's the disconnect. It doesn't mean anybody's necessarily like wrong in it, but there's definitely a group that's wrong. Whatever it is that we do, there's not a moment where we say something where it just like there's always a thought. Like, you could say the most inane thing ever, and then it's like, okay, well, here's a million reasons why you're wrong or you missed this point.
Yeah.
And it's like it's these fucking training wheels of opinions where it's like, no, here's what you need to do. When you do it every single day, like, you're just going to be different. You're going to be different because, like, I know when I'm thinking about an argument that I want to make, I'm thinking about every single possible fucking angle. And it actually can make you worse at making your point because you're deflecting things that aren't even there yet. But what I would ask anybody, like, if you actually knew what that was like, if you knew what it was like, you would never say to somebody, "Oh, you're triggered," because
Right.
you're like, "Wait, so the one time I decide, like, hey, dude, actually, it's this," and that's the thing that always annoys the fuck out of me about it, because you'd be like, "Wait, so I never say anything, and then I said something, and you think I'm over here fucking sad about it?"
Right.
Like,
Also, I forgot, like, we should just say this right now. Ryan has figured out a really smart life hack, which I know we'll get to some. If he ever wants to reply to someone, he'll just text me and be like, look at what this person said, and I'll just reply to him. Literally every time. He gets me in trouble all the time. I'll just fucking reply and roast someone because he knows I can't stop myself. He does, you do
I
that
do it all the time. I'll be like, "Oh my god, you believe this one?" And then like 30 seconds later,
Like, I reply.
There was one. I mean, my favorite ever, the Florio content. I sent one. It was the Saban thing, and it was like the opposite. Like
Yes.
Saban was basically saying, like, you guys really want us to do the NIL? Like, it hasn't been bad enough for you guys.
Right.
All right, rev the engines. And then Florio's like, him making excuses for why he's going to lose. And I went to Big Cat. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I look, and there's a notification that comes up. Big Cat's like, or maybe the opposite. It wasn't 60 seconds. Like, he may have done it before we'd hung up.
Yeah, so you have the life hack there.
All right, yeah. No,
Just-
I'm bust. Now I'm
you
going to
just
start
send
doing
me
it.
after people.
I'm going to start doing it more.
All right, so what do we want to? Should we talk about something? We did post out being like, what do people want us to talk about? One of the replies was, when do you stop doing hard drugs? Which I thought was very funny for our audience.
That's a very good question. When I know the answer, I'll let you know. I don't know.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, yeah, Ryan, do you
this
want to
actually
take? You
an
look like
intervention.
That's a Ryan.
Oh,
that's
is
a
this
Ryan
what this
question.
was? Is we're
Yeah,
not
that's a
even
Ryan
taping right
question.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm good. I was never super interested in it, so I don't know what to tell anybody on that one.
Yeah, no, I just
Don't
thought that
use
response
drugs.
was very funny because it was like, I don't think we're the ones that should be
Oh,
giving you
oh.
advice about that. Like, we should maybe see someone.
You know what I think is weird though? Like when they're handing out the Dare T-shirts when you're in 6th grade and shit, and you're like, yeah,
Signing
no doubt.
contracts?
Like no doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt. And
Never.
then you'll have like a buddy. He's got 3 kids. He's like, I took stems on a Tuesday. And you're like, what the fuck? Is this what happens? So for any 6th graders, listen, don't
Don't sign a contract.
yeah, just wear the shirt, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah, the shirt's cool. It's retro cool.
Yeah, that's a good. Go elsewhere for your drug advice. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs though. Fentanyl's out there. Fentanyl's bad.
Yeah.
If you're in the same room as fentanyl and you breathe it, you're
I know
dead.
you guys are in LA this week. I'm worried about you.
We actually don't do drugs. I got this label as being the drug guy on the podcast.
I wonder
because
why.
I have long hair.
It was probably after you did ecstasy in Hong Kong.
It was MDMA, and it was a form. It was a form
I
of
think it was
protest.
exactly after
It was
that.
a
By
form
the
of
way.
protest against the CCP that was trying to exert foreign influence and violate
That video.
Hong Kong's sovereignty.
How that didn't win an Emmy. I've watched that video with you and Donnie more than 10, maybe less than 20 times. It's unbelievable. Hey,
So
Donnie.
good.
Hey, Donnie.
Yeah, Donnie, I gotta be honest with you. Donnie,
Donnie, I gotta be honest with you.
I was on a different planet.
Were you having fun? It looked like it, right?
I don't know. It looked like I was having fun in retrospect, but all I remember during the actual feelings of the MDMA was I was just like seeing stars everywhere, and then I would panic every like 30 seconds because I didn't know where my people were, and they were all next to me at the same time. It was fun to do one time. I'll never do it again. I don't think I'm ever going to take MDMA again. It was one and done for me.
There we go. So
and
that's your
then
drug talk.
I also
One and done.
felt like
Save some lives.
in the circumstance, I wanted to do it then because I was in a foreign country. So my brain told me, "Oh, you're overseas. People do drugs overseas. It's like you're basically on vacation from laws." So I'll be fine. I thought I was in Amsterdam, pretty much. Turns out that the drug laws in Hong Kong are way more strict and severe
Yeah.
than they are in the United States. So that was a mistake on my part. But you live and you learn. I will never do ecstasy in Hong Kong again.
Yeah, I mean, imagine seeing PFT in an episode of one of those Nat Geo shows.
Oh, Locked Up Abroad. I love those shows. What is it? What does it say about me that I love watching shows where people are in like really bad trouble?
Because you've avoided it. I have a buddy who's been arrested. I think he had a DUI in every state in New England, and anytime cops would come on, he'd freak out. He'd like change the channel. We were just laughing about it the other day. Like he couldn't watch cops. Like if it were on, we were counting out our tips and would come on at like 3 in the morning. He'd be like, he would just go over and go like, just matter of fact, he couldn't handle the fucking flashing lights. He'd freak out.
Can't do it. All right, so we do have Hank. So this is going to air right before he has to give the speech, but he's giving his first best man speech ever next weekend at his brother's wedding. So he asked for some advice, and I think think we've all done it at least once, a couple times. Ryan, a couple times.
Done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not.
Yeah. You have not.
Really? Wow.
I've not. I've
And
helped.
everybody
I've
says, I don't
helped
have any
other
friends.
people.
Ooh, I've done a few.
I've helped other people prepare for it. I'm usually just like the guy that's in the wedding party that is just kind of there. Like I'll help. I'll pitch in for stuff if they're planning something, but I've never had the response. I do have a brother who got married last year, but it was during COVID, so I was going to be the best man then. He had just like a small, essentially like a courthouse ceremony of the two of them to get it over with and done. So I've never had the opportunity to give the speech, but I did start to write the speech for it.
Oh, by the way, you brought up a point. I've said it a million times, but it needs to be repeated. The best, friend zone you can be in is getting invited to the bachelor party, but not being in the wedding party.
It's a tough window to
best
fit in,
spot.
but yeah.
I've told friends I don't even like. They'll be like, "Do you want to be in the wedding party?" I'm like, "Not really," because it's like a shitload of pictures and stuff.
Pictures, a lot of pictures. The
Talks,
rehearsal
all that
dinner,
stuff.
though, can be great.
But you can kind of get invited to the rehearsal dinner even if you're not in the wedding party.
I've done that.
Yeah, like there's that zone where it's like if you can be like the seventh guy on a friend's depth chart, it's a great spot to be in.
I was a first alternate for the wedding
pro
party.
Yeah, they
one
make you an
time.
usher. That's the best.
No, it was kind of crazy because I went into this weekend like, okay, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be there. I'm best friends with a lot of people that are in the party. Going to be an awesome wedding. Then one of the groomsmen breaks his ankle and his fibula the night before
It's a good thing they had an alternate.
at the rehearsal, and then so I'm sweating because I'm like, wait, am I going to get the call to the show tomorrow? Is that going to be me? And then my buddy was like, I can do it, and he ended up just like he was on crutches going down the
What a
aisle
dick.
with like a broken face and all this shit going down the aisle. Like I can still do this for my friend.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh man.
But that's the spot though. If you can be invited to the bachelor party but not have to be in the wedding party.
What Hank, what is the perception? What is your perception amongst the? I guess you don't have a microphone, but like when I gave mine, I subverted expectations, which is like everyone in my family thinks I'm super famous because like I have a blue check mark on Twitter or whatever. So like in my family, they
Had a good run.
There was like hype around the speech. They're like, Mark does this for a living. I'm sure the speech is going to be great. I'm sure I can't wait to hear his jokes, all that kind of stuff. And then I just kind of kept it straight and just said like nice things about my brother and kept it moving. And
Who I saved his life.
Yeah, you did save his life.
I saved his life. I literally saved Mark's brother's life.
So like, what is the expectation, Hank?
I do think there is like a expectation for me to put on a show. I'm definitely like the outgoing one.
Yeah.
Always got in trouble and stuff. I feel like there will be some expectations similar to you, where my family's expecting a show.
So
Wait a minute. Can I just a show?
They're like,
Show.
they're
It's a magic
they're
trick.
like they're like,
You
oh,
should
like,
do a magic
like
trick.
this speech is coming, like something's coming.
No, I know
All right.
that's
All
a,
right.
that's
Yeah,
real.
no,
That's
similar
real.
spot
Okay,
that
like,
you've been in. Yeah.
The reverse is my brother's very shy, like
Yeah.
a little more guarded. If it was reverse, I don't think they would be
Because
expecting a crazy
there-
speech.
yeah.
from
No,
him.
Hank, you like
But
you
me,
have a
it might
job,
be.
you have a lifestyle that you're in front of a camera sometimes and talking to microphones and stuff. So I think people go to a ton of weddings and you see people get up there that are nervous. So anytime it's a situation where you know someone might not be nervous to publicly speak, you're like, oh, thank God, this is not going to be the worst fucking speech I've ever heard.
Yes.
So then it kind of sets the expectation high.
Yes,
though.
people are expecting it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're absolutely right. I have a couple high level thoughts, and you guys can go off of it. But I already told Hank, I think you have to keep it like 5 minutes or less. I think anyone
definitely.
who goes longer than that is people don't.
You mean every woman?
Yeah, well,
I didn't say that.
Ryan,
You did.
Yes.
I did say though
Well,
to Hank.
well-
I was like,
Look,
make sure you go
science,
after
the science backs it up.
Well, that's true. What Ryan just said. You got to remember that you're not the star of the show. You got to remember that the stars of this show are actually the bride's dad, and then her maid of honor. They're going to go super long.
Yeah.
You're probably going to go on after the maid of honor. Your job is like people at that point are looking around like, when can I go back to the bar?
Yeah, it's 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The biggest thing though, you can't have notes.
Yeah,
I think you
cannot
have to
notes.
speak from. I think the notes
Hank
make
just
you
got freaked out.
No,
But
hold on.
the guy who goes up with, I've seen some really bad ones. There's
Think how
one
nervous
friend that's
people are.
probably listening.
They're not as seasoned as you are.
I
There's
think-
one friend that's listening right now that's going to know exactly. I'm talking about his wedding, but he brought like cue cards, and he forgot to mention the bride, which you can't. You have to mention the bride, have to. But I think no notes is the way to go.
I think you have to prepare notes and then don't use them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But you have to.
Because you can't.
Yes.
The worst thing you could possibly do is be the wing it guy.
No, you can't be the wing it guy.
And that is an absolute disaster. So,
But it's like-
prepare the speech, but then don't. If you're up there reading notes,
Yeah,
it's
you
over.
you lose already
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everyone's like, wait,
yeah.
you need notes for this? Like,
Yeah.
you got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be because people will be like, oh wow, you really spoke from the heart. It's like, well, I did practice it, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
I think it's a pretty simple formula for the most part. Yeah, Hank? Go on.
Well, so is there a formula of like, old anecdote from when we were kids?
Yes.
Things
Yes.
he's taught me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bride. Closing
He's a better
remarks.
person than me. That's
Yes.
usually a good one
That's
to be
a
like,
good one.
like
I wouldn't
I've
be
always
here
looked up
without
to him.
him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Had
then
a
bride.
weird phase, but he's out of it
Yeah.
now. So,
Don't do the don't
That's-
don't do the one thing you can screw up, and a lot of people do it, is they do like the bride add-on at the end. They're like, everything I said about you, like, and it's your wife too. Like,
Yeah.
you got to have a story about the bride.
Yeah, the way to get around that is you find the things about your brother that you appreciate about him that you don't have. And then you can say, like, this is what I've always looked up to him for. And then at the end, well, then also include one story about a time he got into trouble. And then everybody will laugh at that. And then not too much trouble.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
You have
Like,
to
be careful with that
Yeah,
one.
you have to edit it a
And-
little bit. You can't be like, oh, remember that time that he got busted with that hooker in Acapulco?
Yes, yes.
No, you got to be like, you remember that time where we were on a road trip together or something like that, and you made the best play. Like, joke around a little bit about stuff, but don't make it too serious. And then at the end, say something about how she's so much better than he is.
Yeah.
Because that gets a laugh too, where it's like, I always thought that you'd marry well, but I had no idea that you would outkick your coverage by this far. Like something nice.
I hate jokes like that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that one's tough.
I'm just saying, like, this is how you got to end it. Say that she's better than him a little bit.
See, I think you have to add a story about her that doesn't, like, you can't. The mistake you can make is like you say a whole speech, you do 4.5 minutes, and in the last 10 seconds you're like, oh, and also it goes for her. You have to have a story about her. What are you
Hank,
gonna say, Ryan?
Did he ever tell you a story about meeting her? There's
Right.
got to be something in there about that he met her. There had to be a moment that he shared with you about how he cared for her.
Or just make it
that's-
up.
That's what I did for my brother. I also have a total zag because you said you wanted to give him a show and that your brother's quiet.
Ooh, I like this.
It's a dying art, ventriloquists.
Yes.
And you bring one out and you say it's your brother and you talk to him and ask him questions and tell stories. And because he's shy, you don't even have to be good at it because he doesn't want to talk. He's in front of all these people. And that's how you play it off. You give your speech through a ventriloquist dummy that you're not even using because your brother's shy.
Just sock puppet.
I got another one for you, Hank, that could bring the house down because your close personal friend Tom Brady has some time on his hands. Get him to give him a message. Play that.
I do those for free, by the way.
You do?
On
Russillo
Instagram.
will do it for him.
Yeah, that's probably going to bum people out. But like when somebody asks me, I've been getting weird with them. Like somebody will ask me for a video on Instagram and be like, hey, so-and-so's whatever. And like the last one I did, I was like, I was DMing Julie for about 6 months and I knew, and then I don't even know who the person is. So I don't know how they're going over right now. But yeah, I did something, dude, when my brother was like, hey, I'm having a kid. And I remember the story I told was I was like, oh no. And then he was like, no, I'm so happy to have my own family. And so that was the pivot. I also did a little icebreaker. It's not the most original thing. I was like, I just want for the next 45 minutes or so, take you on a journey of love. And tell,
Yeah,
and everybody was
good, yeah.
like,
Yeah, what?
well, most people were like, his fucking stories are long. If you ever heard his podcast, but that was a nice little, little public speaking thing there, a little jab joke.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Homer
Because
Simpson
it wasn't.
had a
It
great
wasn't
one,
45
too.
minutes, was it?
It
That's
probably
the
ended up
joke?
going 45
Because
minutes.
yeah.
No, because you could see a couple people's faces that didn't know me
Yeah.
were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But that's not even original.
You got it, though.
Yeah, start
You're
with a
good
joke
speaker.
and maybe a magic trick.
Yeah.
You know any magic? Yeah, you should do a magic trick. Do a card trick, and nobody can see the
pencil in
card.
nose.
Yes, a flaming wallet.
Hey, what's going on?
I think Hank is left more confused by all of this.
He looks
Keep
terrible.
it,
Yeah,
keep
after-
it short,
after this.
no
Yeah.
notes. Make sure you don't just add on the bride as an afterthought. Those are my big things.
You can also just plagiarize, which would be very easy to do. And it's not even really plagiarism if you like look up an old wedding toast and it's written down as like an old way. You can be
Yeah,
like,
here's to
Didn't
honor.
Russell Wilson
yeah, and
do
here's
that
an old
with a
wedding
Valentine?
toast. Oh no, that was the greatest for Valentine's.
Yes.
He wrote I think it was a tweet and an Instagram post
Yeah.
to his wife.
Because as we were talking about this, I was going to tell Hank, just watch him talk and do the opposite. And now I realized that he actually did.
Yes.
He Googled how to describe a beautiful
Love.
woman.
Yeah.
And then he copied and pasted. Not
Robot
even
shit.
he didn't even click on the link on Google. He just copied and pasted from the description underneath the link on the first page. And then he pasted that onto Twitter, and that's perfect. Actually, that's the best. That's the most like complete Russell Wilson move of all time. Like,
Yes.
Hank, just like take somebody's old like an old wedding toast. That'll
Yeah.
kill about like 45 seconds.
You got this.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we probably left him more confused. Do we want to do our life hacks, or did you want to do? I feel like I don't even remember what we talked about in the first one. Does anyone
We
have any
did
big
kind of like
picture?
what
Advice
you
to our
wish-
younger self,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right. It was like
Has anything
The
changed?
Players Tribune
has
podcast.
what has changed between the? Can I start with that? Maybe like what I don't really remember all this.
We
stuff
make
talked about, but-
$50,000 a show more now than we did then.
That's cool. What do you feel
don't
like
donate it or
in the
anything.
last few years? Like Dan, obviously you having kids, you've probably undertaken the biggest change out of anyone here. But do we feel different from last? Have we learned anything?
Huh.
That where it's like, I said this on the last show, but actually now that because I texted you guys this today that like I it always trips me out that whenever I go back and look at something, if I something I wrote a year ago or 2 years ago or 4 years ago, or like the time hop thing that's on like Facebook and that
Yeah.
bullshit. Every time you see what you put on Twitter or Facebook or whatever 5 years ago, you're like, that guy's a fucking loser.
Right.
Like, I was a loser.
I could do
I
that with
sucked.
6 months.
So, but then the follow up to that is then you say to yourself, thank God I'm not a loser anymore. But you know that like 5 years from now, you're going to look back on where you're at right now. So I guess like, as you think back on that part of your life, is there anything that's like fundamentally different that you're like, I used to think this, or I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the answer is no. I don't know. It's just
I do think that
broad.
and maybe this is, I don't know, it's probably not COVID. It's probably just getting a little bit older. But there's definitely been more moments where I'm like, I kind of just hate the internet. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, I really like, I wish I could just walk away from all of it. And that might just be having kids too. I don't know. But it's gotten like less fun to be online at times. And it's like, I think of the times when I'm having the most fun online, it's like strictly sports or strictly like, not taking nothing really seriously. And then it's just like everything else is kind of a bummer.
yeah.
So I'd say that's the biggest thing that's changed probably in the last 2 years for me personally.
I've been saying that I'm going to cut back on the internet a lot more.
But it's our
That's true.
job.
But it's tough. It's
you guys
tough
are
to
in
do.
it too much.
It is.
kind of
It's-
are
we're
in
in
it
it
too
way
much.
too much.
Like I a lot of times I wish that I just could not look at my phone ever, because I do feel
Right.
myself looking at my phone way more than I should be. I've never even checked my screen time because I'm afraid of what it's going to be.
You don't keep track of it?
No.
I'm cognizant of the fact that it's like too much, but it's also to be good at our jobs. Like
Well,
I'll do it.
here's something that might be good to have a broader discussion on. Is like you guys are obviously at a higher level than I am in this stupid industry we have, and you've scratched and clawed your way to the top, and Ryan has told his story a million times about where he started and how he's got here and all this sort of stuff. How much of like your day to day, like now that you're at the top of the mountain, so to speak, and we're at a beautiful house in Manhattan Beach, and like you've kind of accomplished it, how much do you feel a change of like we have to stay here, or is it like now I'm here, I can kind of like chill and I figured it out, like I'm so glad I busted my ass to get here because now I can just kind of chill, or is it like is that what pulls you back to the internet, is like if we're not on the line at all times, there's going to be two shitheads that just got out of college that started a sports podcast.
that's going to happen
gonna,
regardless. I've
you know
made
what I mean?
peace with that. Yeah. Like that eventually, and I am like, old at this point where it's like comparatively on the internet. I was actually thinking about this today in prep for this podcast because it's like, it's actually the thing that frustrates me the most with some of the people not any names, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's talking about Billy." I'm not talking about Billy, but because they all like, "Oh, he's
Definitely
talking about
not.
Billy."
Definitely
No,
not.
we have an
starts dying
office
laughing.
we have an office of like 23-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
And I think like I want to someday just walk away from it all, but I also do have something in me where I get extreme satisfaction of like doing, like working really hard and seeing the results. Like the Berman interview that we did, like that was a lot of
Yeah.
work, and it came out great, and it felt awesome. And it's like that's something that I just love. You know what I mean? Like that, the act of going through the whole process of like getting a big interview, doing the interview, nailing it, having people
Yeah.
enjoy it. I don't think I'll ever like be able to walk away from that feeling. And I also have to realize that not everyone has that feeling where they like love putting in like really hard work to try to get something that everyone loves. I don't know if that made any sense. Did it?
It does, because I feel the same way when it comes to like seeing the results of something that you put a lot of work into. That's probably the most rewarding part. There are two things that I really enjoy. One is the feeling when I know that we are doing something that like in the moment I can get an energy off of, and the afterglow from that. Just the act of creating it is number one for me, and then seeing other people appreciate it. It's a natural like reward system where it motivates me to try to chase that high a little bit. But the problem with that is if you truly are chasing that, if you're chasing anything really, then you can find yourself in a weird position where you're not doing something sometimes where it's because you want to be doing it or you're really feeling it in the moment. It's because you're still chasing. You know,
The motivation's not internal.
it's not internal.
external.
It's external from
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
But you know, like you try to minimize those situations. But yeah, it all has to like come organically. As long as that's still happening, then I can't think of like anything else I would ever rather be. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like if I had gotten to choose what my job was when I was 21 years old,
Yeah.
I would say exactly what I'm doing right now. Like
Yeah.
like probably nothing would be different at all. When people say dream job, like this is beyond anything that I could have even thought of at that point to be a dream job.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Ryan?
I'm not going to rest until I beat you two idiots.
Well, that's the thing is like there will be younger people that come along.
What Big Cat just said though, like that's the scary thing. Is like and I mean this because you guys know how much I like you. Your run's insane. And it's like you know, you have those moments to be like, well, how long is the run?
Right.
For me, you know, we've been over it because we're friends, but like I was at ESPN for almost 15 years, and the entire time, especially towards the end, I was like, wait, I'm actually doing like really well by any measurable metric. I was like, yeah, you're not really a star. And then I leave without any real understanding of like, I'm sure I'll do okay, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And things have gone way better for me. But then I'll see something where there's like a list of the top 20 sports podcasts. And I go, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, they leave
Like-
us off for other reasons.
Right, but
yeah.
but when somebody isn't biased ahead of time,
Right.
they pick you or they pick Bill, which
Right.
is totally understandable because you guys are, you know, at the top.
But you're not the best. I
but,
mean, like,
no,
like
no, but-
McDonald's isn't the best restaurant. Like,
I don't
But-
disagree with that.
You know, I'll see a profile.
McDonald's will actually kill you if you eat too
you know,
much of it.
I'll hear about something and I just can't ever sit back and, you know, sure, I should be able to say, all right, I'm this age. I can look outside at the ocean and all that stuff's going to be fine. And there'll be something that happens usually once a week with me where I'm like, nope, fuck that. And I just want to work even harder because I don't feel like, again, this is a little different. I don't ever feel like I've been peaked. You know, and I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever had that moment where people are like, oh, you know who's actually fucking really, really good at what he does, where even if you feel like people on the internet hate you guys, it's pretty understood in the industry. You guys have been monsters for a long time. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously the hate thing that took a while for me to get over. Like being like people just despise us no matter what, and like
where do you think it's at now from where you started to where it is now?
it's way worse. But it's also I've gotten way more.
What's way
peace-
worse? Like you're
the-
way hated. You're hated more.
The Barstool. in
Oh,
general.
Barstool. You're talking-
And I
Well, I hate Barstool, but I love PMT. I've always been that way.
and you love the dozen and chiclets.
And Caleb's cool. Love him. Also,
No, but
but Bars, oof.
It-
More like
it is-
Barstool.
it used to affect me like really bad. Like, but now I don't know. You just get to a point where I think maybe it's just
if you don't get numb to it, then you'd be shattered.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
It would ruin me forever. And also, I think this is where you can use the crutch of like kids. And I know that sounds cliche, but like there will be times where like the world will come at Barstool, and I'd be like, I gotta fucking I gotta do bath time with my son. And
Yeah.
he doesn't want to fucking.
Do
get out
kids
of the bath.
I meant to ask this earlier because we were talking about whether we want to have kids or not. One reason I have always
segue.
wanted to have kids, and I will always think I want to have kids, is that I think they'll help me chill out, which sounds
Big time.
insane because your life becomes more hectic dealing with them. But kind of what you just said, where you just kind of reassess your priorities, and you're like, oh, this 14-year-old I'm fighting with on Twitter about James Harden is not actually that important.
It's actually a weird like way to look at it though, because it's big picture. I'm a lot more chill. Little picture, I'm probably harder to deal because I have less sleep.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
schedule
yeah.
is crazy,
Yeah.
and I know that. And I know like Hank and PFT and like Liam, like my schedule has to be like is a little bit harder to deal with, which sucks.
Yeah.
But like big picture, it's a lot more like, do I really care about this? No. But I actually wanted to bring up one other thing that has changed in the last couple of years, and I think this is something that like 20-year-old to maybe 25, 27 are probably listening. I like have reached a point where I think it's cool to care about some things like a lot. And I know we're talking about like being sports fans, like it's irrational, it's stupid.
I think we're talking about DM and high school kids.
yeah, well, no, he's in college, Ryan.
Care about-
He's been in college
bad,
for a
my
year.
bad, my bad.
So wrong.
Did
I
he
would
re-
never DM a high
Did he
school kid
reclassify, though?
unless he was a 5-star. And he was
Wait,
a
did you say
quarterback.
the R word? You said Rico?
No, he reclassified.
Oh, I thought you said Rico.
I think there's like a feeling where it's
Who's
not,
that?
you
The
know,
guy that threw the fucking can at that?
we don't want to get Hank going.
Jesus
I think
Christ.
there's a level of like when you're younger.
Wait, you actually don't know Rico?
Yeah, he does.
You're not playing dumb, are
No,
you?
he knows.
I lost track of what was happening because at first I was like, wait, that guy was that mad at I've gotten mad at work, but I go hide.
There's been times when Ryan and I have talked and I've been like, dude, you'd be awesome at Barstool. He's like, yeah, but like I'd show up and like some guy would throw a can in my head, or like some guy would fucking just put a camera in my face and start fucking like busting my balls. I think I would lose it. I'm like, yeah, you're
I have
right.
a buddy that every time some shit like that happens will text me and just say, how would you respond to this?
It's a fucking weird world.
I don't know.
But back to what I was saying, like
That can just missed my head.
I mean, my initial ruling was, did you see my initial ruling
It was
on
the
it?
worst initial ruling ever.
I go,
Fucking
it didn't
Judge
hit you,
Ito
so what do you
on
want me
that
to do?
That's what I love about Big T is because he's kind of like you are sometimes, where he like your imaginary self working at Barstool, where you just like have moments where you're like, what the fuck is going? Like that's what Big T was like.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm at my job at my computer, and someone just assaulted me.
I said something. This psychopath.
Yeah, that was a bad initial ruling. I took it back, but I was just
You
like,
did. You were quick to get another. You had
because I
PR
saw the
on it.
alternate angle. the
director's cut.
Really almost hit him. I literally was like, dude, it didn't hit you. What do you want me to do? That was the parent in me where it's like, listen, I can't fucking.
You parented up quick.
Yeah, I was
No.
like, if you don't hit your sister, like I can't.
That's another
put
thing.
in
If you
timeout.
have kids and other guys almost assault or break the cranial area of a coworker, you're just like, hey guys.
That's what I said. I was like, let's chill out. I think I said everyone chill out, even though
Yeah.
it's like one of them almost got assaulted. But either here nor there. There is like a level when you're in your 20s and you think it's cool to just not care about anything.
Right.
But it's like getting to a point where it's like, no, there's some things I really care about and I am passionate about. There's some things I don't care about, and I'll tell you when I don't care about it. But having that like self-confidence to be like, I care about this. When it doesn't go the way I want it to go, it's going to affect me.
Yeah.
And just being open about that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like when Caleb Williams goes to USC, I fucking cried. Whatever.
I think in a similar vein for me, and it's not so much that I used to like pretend to not care about stuff. There would be things that I just wouldn't like, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's not cool." Like stuff that I would actively
Yes.
kind of hate.
Yes.
You know, and a good example, actually, funnily enough, on this podcast, I was like, I hated Drake. I would just be open with how Drake
And we
sucked.
were like, dude, why?
And like I was very mad that Drake was popular because I didn't like his music. And then I started to listen to it a little bit, and I was like, why do I hate this person? Like, why is this affecting me that much? Why is something that other people get joy out of making me feel angry at that thing? And I think a lot of people, including myself at times still, like make things that they don't like part of their personality. I think the more that you have that inside you, the less happy you will be with the rest of the stuff that you do actually like.
Totally.
So it's more about like
straight
accepting
call.
the fact that people like things and let them enjoy things that they like.
When was it Joe who left Impractical Jokers?
Yeah.
And everyone was broken up about it.
Oh,
and I used to
yeah.
like clown on it. It's like, wait, why am I making fun of people who like Impractical Jokers? If they get like if they laugh about it and they like it, what the fuck do I
like
care?
Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, like what do I care? But you know what I mean? Like there's that shit.
Impractical Jokers won me out because I left the TVs on True TV, you know, on March Madness.
Right.
And I
You watch college
the
basketball?
remote was over on the other side of the world, and then I just like it was not funny for the first like 5 episodes, and then they slowly won me over. So
But it
slowly won me over.
What PFT's talking about, I completely agree with. Like, you
No,
get to
yeah,
a
that
point
is-
where you're like, why am I looking down on something if it brings other people joy?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. You're
it-
just being a fucking asshole.
And I realized that it was like it would make me feel better about myself. Like
Right.
there's something that people like that's actually not very good.
Right.
And I know that me personally, I know they shouldn't be liked. So it was a thing where I was able to think that I was better than other people because their tastes were different than mine. And once you realize what's going on, you're just happier about most other things in general.
Right.
Now I still have that like. There's still times where I find myself falling into that a little bit. I have to remind myself a little bit, and there are also still times when it's
Some
just,
stuff sucks,
it's just,
too.
Yeah,
So,
it's just
like what?
fun to point out that things suck.
I don't know, network sitcoms.
I mean, people like Big Bang Theory.
Well, Young Sheldon's terrific. Don't get me wrong, but you know,
He's
look,
not
there's,
young
there's
enough.
certain
That's
shows
my
but
problem.
it's kind of like the
But
ball
you're a
game
writer,
thing.
so you see it differently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, where's this going? Oh, that was the layup. I think about the bowl game thing. Like when people get mad about all the extra bowl games, there's way too many bowl games. Don't watch it. Who gives a shit?
Oh, I hate that.
I've definitely
Yeah.
tried because I think, you know, when you're younger, a lot of the stuff that you're going through when you're younger is kind of like your own insecurity. And I always try to remind this to like people. It's like, hey, just remember, like the other person you're talking to and all the insecurities that you have about yourself, pretty good chance they have just as many. So just, you know, go up and talk to the hot girl.
Right.
'Cause, you know, there's a moment where she doubts herself, and maybe that's that night.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows? But I think it's like a good rule to kind of operate with where you're like, you know, just remember like the stuff that you second guess yourself, you're not the only one doing it. Literally everybody else. And even though they're trying as hard as they can to project that they're not having any of those things, just like you do, just admit that like, all right, this guy's probably got some weak spots. Let's go.
It's absolutely
So-
true.
Ryan, you're right, but I also love that the statement boils down to like, you can fuck a really hot chick if you try. Don't give up on yourself.
That's a little aggressive, PFT. I meant, you know, relationship. I thought
No,
we were
but
talking about families.
what you're saying, it links into what PFT said and what I'm saying about caring. Like a lot of times when you're younger, you're like, I don't care about this or this is lame.
It's cool to not
because you
care,
don't,
right,
yeah,
right,
because you
right.
don't want to open yourself up to have someone be like, oh, you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's look, it's
Yeah.
the same thing too as, you know, where I went to school, you know, it's Vermont, smaller school, but for whatever reason, you know, there's a ton of Boston guys, ton of Fairfield County guys, and then we'd always be like, why are you here when you from Arizona? But all we did was make fun of each other. That's all we did. So like the only way you could keep up, not that this is like, oh wow, that was the college where college guys made fun of each other all the time. But like I remember carrying it into our 20s and I would just be like ripping on everybody all the time.
right.
And then you're like, wait, you know who's probably not a great time to hang out with? The guy who makes fun of everybody for everything. And it wasn't, I don't know what it was just what I was used to.
Right.
And I remember talking to my buddies being like, hey, do you have like weird moments at work? And a couple of guys were like, oh my God. Like I had to stop doing that a couple of years ago. Like I almost got fired. And what I'd say is that there are these moments, you know, like when you're in your 20s and you think you have, like this is a bigger thing. Like I'll use the hangover theory on this one. Like when you're hungover, you know, big night with the boys and it goes away like on Tuesday, it fucking goes away.
Right.
It goes away. It doesn't feel like it's going to go away. And you're like, should I take a foreign language? You know, maybe I finally learn an instrument this year. I'll get back on the dating apps. You know, I need to change things up. And then by Tuesday, you're like, what a fucking weirdo I was for 36 hours.
Right.
Like, what was that?
Right.
Like, did you write a poem or something, you fucking weirdo?
Yeah.
So it goes away. I'd say that you can expand life out that way because all of these little moments, all these little things, and I think this is, we're all kind of around the age, and obviously I'm older than you guys, but you start to learn like almost none of it ever fucking mattered.
None of
that.
it.
All of it kind of goes away. And that's the one thing that I still try to, now that I know that, when I'm dealing with something in the moment, you're like, this is going to mean almost nothing. Like this is going to be completely insignificant. And even though you're consumed by it today, you know that later on, this will have meant fucking dick.
Yep.
And it's hard to learn that until you go through it enough, but I would just keep hammering it over and over again. Like as you're aging and as you're getting a bit older, it's a great feeling when you start to be like, hey, I don't want to be an asshole to everybody, but I also am like not going to worry about this stuff as much because it's not as significant on the path of the bigger stuff.
Yeah, the world keeps on, when you realize the world keeps on moving, it's a freeing thought. And you're like, oh, this is not the end of the
not
world.
everybody is thinking about me.
Right.
Nobody really cares. I mean,
If you
obviously your
die
podcast,
tomorrow-
a lot of guys talk about you guys, but
There definitely have been big moments from you that have meant something in the long term. Like when you look back on it, maybe all the little stuff that you were super consumed about in the time ended up just passing by.
Well,
But when the stuff that's actually important is happening, does that feel different to you in the moment? Are you all consumed by it? Are you anxious about it? Like the big decisions that you made.
No, I mean, I'm weird with the big decision stuff. I almost like welcome the like, hey, this is a huge moment and you're about to make some decision and this is like a big deal. And I almost get energized by it.
Absolutely.
I'm the opposite of like, I almost look forward to these moments where I'm like, but I think back to what Titus was saying is, the biggest thing that I've always struggled with, anybody who wants to get into the business of the cool stuff, is that I'm always afraid if I'm not wired this way, am I going to suck at my job? And then I'm not going to want to like, look, I drove back from Vegas last night. I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, started writing out opens and fucking looking up usage stats of the highest 20 seasons. And it's 7 a.m. and I got a green juice going and I'm doing this shit because I'm afraid if I ever have the mentality of not caring about things, then I'll suck at my job and it'll be over. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just tortured there, Titus.
No, but I
that's-
think you're like you might beat yourself up on it, but like that is why people want to listen to you because I think you, and this is now us just complimenting each other, but like people listen to you, Ryan, because they're like, that he does the homework and he actually like he thinks about. I've always admired that you're always thinking about like the big picture on a take or like whatever, a player, whatever it is, and not just saying like knee jerk, this guy sucks or this guy's awesome or this is
Yeah,
how
if I
it's gonna
say
go.
something, there's a bunch of reasons
Right.
why. I
Whereas
feel a
we
certain
say
way.
shit just to say it.
But
all
you
the
guys
time.
are way smarter at it, actually. If you think about the job,
I
like,
say shit all the
yeah.
time.
I think we
to say it.
we do some. I mean, we do prep for the show. We do like I
Every now and then.
don't want to act like
hey,
occasionally we will,
pen.
but
And
there's
it's showing
sometimes-
tonight. I think it's really showing tonight and how this is going.
No, our prep
That's
for
when we started
tonight.
talking.
Our prep for tonight was literally on the way over. We just remembered that Hank has to give a best man speech.
Yeah.
We were like,
Oh,
and then we
sick.
started talking about. We're like, no, don't say another word. Say it for the show. But like sometimes we do get into the like role of the show, and we'll just throw a bunch of shit at the wall.
Right.
And then eventually one of those will stick, and somebody will be like, you guys totally called this. It's like we also said 20 things that were the most wrong things that we've ever said.
Yeah.
So many wrong things. I gotta get better. That's also something I
Wait a minute, picking stuff? Because
No.
here's the
No,
other
no,
secret,
I'm
too.
3-0 game of the year.
Right,
Don't-
I know
don't
that.
tell
But
me
the
I
other
can't pick
secret is
shit.
like when you have an opinion on literally every player, every quarterback, the top 100 NBA guys, like it's like we're gonna be wrong all the time. You also have to kind of get past that. too,
What
which
I
is
have,
weird.
what I was gonna say is I have to get past is like people hear what they want to hear, so trying to correct like what. Like people will be like, "Oh, you don't like my team." It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like Bengals
Yeah.
fans thought I didn't like the Bengals because I bet against them, like with the I bet on them against the Raiders, then against them with the Titans and the Chiefs, and they're like, "You don't really." It's like, dude, we talk about Joe Burrow like we love the guy.
They also went 10-7.
Right, exactly.
So-
So, but that's
I
like,
love them,
I have
right?
to like
But-
check myself, being like, these people are just listening for what they want to listen to. They hear one thing and they're like, "Oh, you hate us," and it's like, I got to remember, like, people are just very biased when they listen to something, and to not be upset when people are like, "Oh, you're so unfair to our team," and I am unfair to some teams.
Right, but
Aaron
when I
Rodgers
did
is
it,
a loser.
before I was in the business, I thought Joe Buck sucked. I was like, this guy
You're one of those.
every fucking time Yankees, and then I got in the business. I was like, oh my god, Joe Buck's amazing.
Yeah,
like I'm
he's
an
the
idiot.
best.
So when guys lose their shit, I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. I did the same thing in my early 20s.
But we were right about Romo.
You're Romo stock. banks have been worried about covering your short position on Romo.
Hank, PFT, and I put ourselves on the line with our Romo
I don't
take
think he's
4 years ago.
I don't think he's as bad as you guys.
He's not as bad as we say,
He's
but
not-
he's also
you have
gone
to-
closer to us than the other way.
This episode of Life is being brought to you by Roman. We love Roman. We love Roman swipes. You can go to getroman.com/take. You get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. A lot of guys out there have tried different ways to last longer in bed. Thinking about baseball doesn't always work. That's why the people over at Roman, an online men's health company, are changing the game with Roman swipes. It's the secret to longer lasting sex. Roman swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, they're easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipes pack is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. You just take the swipes out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry, and you're good to go. That's it. So go to getroman.com/take. Get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. That's getroman.com/take.
You also have to understand that a lot of our takes are not just based on the thing themselves, but it's based on like other people's reaction to that thing.
Right.
So we're just
Dude, who are you talking
Yeah,
about?
no kidding.
Right. Yeah.
they're the pendulum that's
What is that?
Explain this process.
okay. All
So
right.
you build a straw man, and then you take
No,
it down.
see, that's bullshit. If somebody, I hate when somebody says because I'll just be like, I have to see it from real people before I go. okay.
Sometimes I think that I am your straw man.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
be straw man, right?
yeah,
there's
Ryan, tell me like when you want to go on a rant, tell me what to tweet and I'll tweet it.
Yeah, no,
And then I'll be the straw.
Dude.
We can be the straw man for you, so you can be like, I see these clowns out here saying this and that. And it's just
No,
us.
but-
It's just us saying it for you.
dude,
We're
Ryan,
throwing you the alley.
Ryan and I will disagree sometimes on sports, and which friends do.
I just share it with the world.
And then he goes on his show
I'm
like
solo,
Cliff
remember.
Kingsbury. We very much disagreed on Cliff
Yeah.
Kingsbury, and he'll do like an open. And I'll be like,
I got
that
3
was
o-
just me.
That was me.
Because we
Yelling
were
at me.
texting about that yesterday.
I've
Oh
gotten
my
3,
God.
I think, monologues out of Big Cat and I texting about Kingsbury this year, so that's good. And then I think one time I was arguing with Chris, and Chris was like, you're not on with Big Cat right now. And I was like, oh, that's fair. Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
what many people are saying.
Oh,
And
we
then you get to
argued about
argue
golf
against the many
too.
people.
Yeah.
We argued about golf.
Yeah.
How did that go? Anyway, but
So to sum it
The
up,
Lions
you-
won more games than we thought.
So to sum it up, you don't think you can chill out. You don't think you have that in you that like so because Dan said that like the reason people listen to you is do your homework. That like if I'm being completely honest, that might be true for some people. I feel like that's mostly bullshit. People listen to you because they love you and they just love.
Well, yeah, no,
your
that
perspective.
too.
Like, but I'm like if Russillo didn't watch any basketball, which we know there are a lot of people in sports media that do not watch sports.
mostly
and he-
morning shows.
Yeah, there's a reason why life advice
and he
is
just
so
like
popular.
fucking ripped
Right.
on whatever he wanted.
Yes.
People would still listen. They would still love it. So what is like? Do you think, Ryan, there'll ever be a point in your life where like that will click with you, where you're like, I could just go to the beach and chill all day, and then turn on the microphone and just talk about literally whatever the fuck I want, and I will have an audience. I will pay the bills. Why don't I just do that? Do you think you can ever
great
like
question.
get to that point
'Cause
where?
he's right. Like the homework part I like because I just love sports. But
But is
Titus
the
right.
juice worth
the
the
life
squeeze?
advice is incredible, and that's Ryan just talking.
Why put yourself through that hell when you don't have to, and you could just
Well, hell's
through the
excessive, but yeah, of driving myself crazy about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I'll have nights where I like go, don't sit here tonight. And then it's 5.5 hours later and I've taken notes. And I'm like, you didn't need to watch any of these games. There was a Monday There was a Monday night where nobody played the other week. Like 20 of the guys were missing, all the best players. And I go, you didn't need to watch this tonight. You didn't need to do this. I don't know, man. I obviously have some other interests, and I again, we're all being really nice to each other here, so I appreciate you saying that. And I think the
truth.
I think,
it's true. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Van
true.
Pelt and I were talking about it. When we did the radio show together, we were both like, okay, we know more than everybody. I mean, that was the way we went into it. Like, we're going to show everybody how much we know. And what I learned too late was that I was like, nobody really fucking cares if you know if
They
a guy's
want to hang out with you.
yeah, they don't
Yeah,
care if you're a 3
exactly.
or 4 star. Think about that. Like radio, they're making an investment, depending on what the listening habits are, but that's 15 hours a week where you're out there and people want to. And once we went to year 3, right was year 3 started, I remember I was like, hey, we need to fuck around more. We need to talk about stuff like when you go to Chipotle and guys take pictures of you and you get weird and take a picture of them back and say, I have one of you now too, which I think is sort of aggressive, but I get where you're coming from because everybody treats Van Pelt like a fucking pink zebra at the zoo or something.
Yes, that's true.
I was like, we need to do that stuff all the time. And we could see a massive pivot, both in audience growth and then just the way people would interact. And it didn't matter if we had the best sports opinions and we were the guys watching every game. I can still never do it without watching the games because I remember before I was in this and I watched everything, I could tell immediately the guys that didn't watch games, and I had no respect for them. I actually were mad that they had the job they had. It's like, no, if you have that job, you owe it to the people to be on top of everything that happens, especially in local market. Like when I would hear guys and be like, again, I was obsessed, right? I'd be like, it wasn't a 2-1 slider, you dick. You know, I'd be in the car, and I was serious, man. I'd be like, fuck this guy. and I was like, if I ever have that job, and again, I wanted to work in the front office. I didn't even want to be on the air. It just happened with a minor league thing where they were like, you know, do you want to sell tickets? And I was like, no, I don't want to sell tickets. I'm 26. I got a degree from a school. I'm broke. Like, I need a job. And they were like, well, you can call the middle innings. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, I've never done it, though. Why would you do that? They're like, you have a deep voice. Nobody listens to the games. So, you know, looking back on that, like those moments, I was like, okay, well, you know, even if you're not going to be good at it, I think you have to. I personally, like, I wouldn't want to even do a Monday morning podcast and say, and I could fake it. I could look at box scores. I think that's why people love numbers so much now, especially in basketball, because it's super fucking easy to sort all the numbers and be like, oh, look what this team's doing. That. But there's just nothing that compares with learning about players and learning a team by watching them. And I'm sure, Titus, like, that's probably why you jumped in the beginning, because you have this amazing perspective of somebody that, you know, again, it's different, but it's so, you're just armed with more stuff than even we can have by just watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I yes.
That was long.
No, but it was good.
I don't know, because I'm one thing I learned through dealing with the pandemic is that our jobs aren't essential, and that, like, really
we were all lucky as hell.
Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, I mean,
and so, like, I had
I did create Doug's.
I had to recalibrate.
This guy's got a job for life. It's crazy.
I actually may have a follow-up on that. Go ahead, Titus.
No, I just had to recalibrate what my life is, what I'm trying to accomplish, what I'm trying to do, because, like, I always knew that this was, like, a lucky position to be in, that I can just I would watch the exact same amount of basketball probably if I wasn't getting paid for it, and I just get to talk, and for some reason I don't know how it works. I get checks in the mail for it. I just show up, I talk, and then I get checks, and I'm like, this is fucking sick. But then when, like, that whole world ends and there's no, and then, like, the college, like, and you guys are, like, broad sports, you guys are generalists of sports. Like, my appeal is a college basketball guy. So there's no NCAA tournament. The next season, even, you know, this past season was even, like, a little weird. It really just, like, drives home how non-essential my job is, and that when society collapses, no one's coming to me asking me if Duke still has a chance at a 1 seed.
I'm going to push back.
What?
I'm going to push back because I think our jobs, and obviously we're not, you know, fucking firefighters and, you know, hospital workers, but I actually think, like, during the pandemic was the first time I was like, oh,
people need distractions.
Our jobs are actually really important for people to just have something to think about that's different. And again, it's not a very important job. It's not like we're making decisions, life and death decisions, but I feel like I've done a better job of appreciating, like, oh yeah, people really like to listen and hang out with us, and that is important.
Yeah, you're right.
Because, like, I love listening to you and Tate. Like,
that's
I do.
True. You're right. I shouldn't discount that. It's just that's my.
There's a lot of There's never been more options, and if, like Big Cat said, if they don't want to hang out with you, why the fuck they want to listen to anything you want to say?
Right.
You know?
But I think you're selling yourself short. Like, I know what you're saying. Big picture, we're nothing. But, like, day to day, you think about it. Like, there are people, like, when we meet people out and we go on these, like, trips and stuff, it's like you forget, like, people spend 6 hours with us like a week. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. You don't spend that much time with any of your friends at this point, you know? So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, Russillo, this is the first time anyway. He's going to trap us here. It is funny because have you guys, like, the rule we always talk about is, like, every year you lose, like, one friend when you get older. Not lose, like, obviously they'd still be, but, like, you just you can't keep in touch with everyone, and it's like something. I mean, text messages definitely help this because you like have your group
Yeah.
chats.
Yeah.
But it's
No.
hard.
I would warn anybody who's like on any kind of Russillo path, just understand like when you have a moment, you're like, oh, I'll share this with Marty. You're like, Marty's got 3 kids fucking screaming at him right now.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have time for this. I do it to Big Cat. And
But I like it.
I finally had to stop though at some point because it was like, you know, and I'm not trying to sound like deep or whatever, but like back to the no kids thing. Like you're not making your own memories and everybody else is making their, like, so you prioritize things in a weird way. Because normally, if you're having a family, you know, I probably have a kid who's like 10 or something, probably sick at hoops, good handle, whatever. But you would be making your own memories where you're not thinking about everybody else. Like,
I'm gonna push back on that.
all right. I wasn't trying to be sad.
I'm actually gonna say like I think that you should never think like, oh, they're making that. Like I like when my friends share things with me. It doesn't mean I can respond all the time right away. I think that's the part that is like the instant like, oh, this is sick, but.
No, a couple
I
years
fuck
ago,
up
I
with
had
that
to be,
too. I
yeah,
don't
but
share.
a couple years ago, I had to be like, hey, dude, like, shoot a text and say you're available later on. 'Cause
Right.
remember, it might be, like you said, it might be bath time.
Right.
So have kids, Titus.
But as far as losing friends goes, I think it's a natural process. It's erosion. You know, like the people you had more time when you were younger to spend with your friends. Now, just as different circumstances happen to different people, you lose it little by little and little, and then you don't gain as many friends.
No.
Especially as you get older, because every person who kind of would maybe fall into that friend category is also just kind of adjacent to whatever phase in life you have to be in at that point. So like it's not the true friendship that you get from somebody that you spend all your time with when you're younger, where you bond over all these common things that you have. You just don't have enough time as you get older to share that much of yourself with somebody and then reach that same level of friendship.
I think there's also like a lack of vulnerability as you get older too, because you've done so many dumb, weird shit with all your college buddies, or if you're still friends with your high school buddies, you'll just be like, well, wait, I'm 35 or I'm 40 and I'm going to meet new guys. Like, is he going to think I'm weird or is he weirder than I am? And then you're like, wait a minute, you're even weirder than, you know, like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. But
you know what it is?
I'm in that game now with kids, by the way.
You
a
don't
lot
get
of people want to be your friend.
No, like meeting the parents of other kids.
Yeah, that's how you make friends when you have
It's
kids.
tough.
And then you
That or
become
dogs,
friends
right?
with-
yeah, dog park politics. Yeah, but if
Politics,
you're
assemblies.
if you're you might go to like a rally somewhere, and then you end up getting in trouble
You all
together.
dress the same.
And then you're bros for life after that. No, but there is actually some truth to that, I think, where when you're younger, you develop the long-lasting, like, deep bonds because you get in trouble with people.
Yeah.
And that's fun. It's fun to do hood rat stuff with my friends, right? Like, it's actually fun to go through an experience like that and then later on be like, man, we were so dumb back then. I can't believe we got away with that. The older you get, the less trouble you start getting.
You're just not going to have the same level of bonding opportunities.
It's all a lot more surface level, yeah.
And then kind of depending on like what the way you're wired, you'd be like, whoa, why is this guy being so friendly so soon? Weird loser. I'll be friends with this guy, which is bullshit too, you know? So I don't know. Like we always joke about my friend thing. I have friends all over the place. Like I actually have a lot of friends.
Yeah,
It's
so
just-
many that you can't even name them all.
Right, but they don't, I never live near them. And then when we get life advice, it's a lot of guys like 27, 28, they meet somebody and maybe she wants to move back to her hometown or they both have a job opportunity, but they're not 100% sure and they're sort of on the fence. And I think like I've had some pockets of friends that stayed in Chicago or stayed in Denver, and I'm like envious of them because they actually prioritize that and they still will do cool shit. Like I think there's clearly a way to do it. I think guys have a very hard time meeting new friends as you get a little bit older, but I'm more of the belief of like if you actually have like moving's great. I've moved a million times. I never let it impact any decision because I only was like very single-minded. But when I see other guys, I'm kind of like, hey, Dan, like I'm sure you want to move back to Chicago, and you can like you kind of not that like Friday it's on, you know.
Well, yeah, no, there's
Butchie
times
McGuire's,
where
let's go, the lodge,
right?
But
it's and I do think on that note too, it's very important to make like be the guy in your friend group that makes the extra effort to get everyone together because everyone always has an excuse, a million excuses. And, like, it gets harder, especially when you get out of that zone of bachelor parties and it's like, oh, we're not going to see. Like, you got to be, like, the guy who's like, hey, let's all get together. Let's go do this. Like, let's go to a game. Let's go to Vegas. Whatever it may be, you'll never regret it. And it's like there are some friends of mine that I love to death. And I know I might see them once a year at most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like you got to, like, work on it. That's, I think, the big thing. It's like you have to – friendship – in the college and after, when everyone's living, having fun, it's like it's very easy. It gets harder, and you have to put in effort. I think that's the big lesson.
I also think
that's
too,
almost
like,
a pest talk to myself because I know I don't.
Guys that are like, oh, I graduated, I can't live with like 7 guys. Okay, maybe, but if there's 4 of you that get along and you're not in a hurry, I don't think 40's weird.
You want to move in?
What is it about guys that it makes it so much tougher for us? Because
Some real guy talk
there'll
right
be
now.
Yeah, we're guys.
There'll be girls or
are.
like a girlfriend or a wife that'll go to an exercise class, and then they'll make like best friends with the teacher, and then they'll hang out with that teacher and like go shopping the next week and be like, I made a new friend. Like guys, we don't do that. It's like if we happen to like make a comment about liking the same sports team or hating the same athlete, if you're like fucking LeBron, someone's like, yeah, man, tell me about it. Then you're like, okay, I made a bro today, but that's like the extent of your interaction. And you don't ever like follow up, and you don't really actually go that next step of like you don't spend quality time with a guy you just met because you want to be his friend.
It's
True.
It's so funny, but it's just
yeah.
It's that we don't want to be vulnerable. That's really all. Like the only way to
Whoa.
become friends with somebody is to be vulnerable and like you were saying, or like that's what
Just started
stems from
getting
like
real.
the
It is.
being
True.
young is like doing hood rat shit, as you said. That's like honestly in some way you're being vulnerable with your friend by like, I don't know, breaking windows at the school at night, and then now like you guys have this secret together. That like if the cops come, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, and
There
then,
should be a Tinder, but for guys that want to just like go break minor laws together.
petty crime.
Like misdemeanor
But
Tinder.
this is also
Gaia.
This is going back to also.
We've talked about
So
this.
I think women are naturally, it's easier to just I don't know, to just like open, like they don't have the hard outer shell that like we have, where like I don't know, I if I walked up to Ryan, I was like, dude, your thighs look great, man. Like, and then like we bond over that.
Yeah.
Now, we're I would never say that.
It also though is
Maybe
why
I'd want to hear
make
that.
myself
Though.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
it comes full circle to like why it's stupid at times to like care about sports, but that's also like a lot of my friends. You know what I mean? Like your college friends, like people
That's
are like,
the only-
why do you care about college sports so much? It's like, I don't know, dude. Like me and my best friends like to talk about the Badgers playing Minnesota on a
But
fucking
maybe
Tuesday
that's
night.
why guys always bond over sports, because that's the one part of our lives we're willing to be vulnerable. We're
Yeah,
willing to be like,
yeah,
I'm
true.
fucking
It's like, this will
devastated
hurt
my
me.
team lost.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I am too. Are we friends? You know?
yeah,
Like,
you
that's
cry.
true.
You cry after a bad loss together, and you're like, this is healthy.
But I hate when
Yeah.
people are like, dude, it's just a college team. What does it matter? It's like,
None of
it's
it
really-
matters.
Yeah,
None of it
does.
matters. We
None of it
already know
matters.
that,
Yeah.
but it matters today.
You're right.
And that's
Right.
and you know
None
what's
of it
way
matters.
better than a fucking parenting text thread. Be like, what's your diaper situation? So
I'm not on any of
man.
those. Don't worry, I'm not.
Do you want to do any little life hacks?
Yeah, let's
I know
start it
people
off.
liked that
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So start us off, PFT.
Okay. Oh yeah, we actually just talked about this briefly on the ride over here. I've started in the last like 3-4 years to put my clothes away at hotel rooms when I know I'm going to be staying there for like 4 days. It's
good.
3 or 4 days. I don't live out of the suitcase. I set up the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink with like all the shit that I need out there.
Never done it.
Never
Really?
You've never unpacked at a
Oh, it
hotel?
feels great.
I've
it
lived
is
in
great.
hotels
Yeah.
too.
And then you call the hotel home, like, let's go back home.
It does. It feels really good.
best.
You wake up and in the morning you
Yeah.
go to your drawer and you pull it out and you're like,
Yeah.
I know where everything is. It's like a little mini home.
Hang up your shit.
Although
It's the best.
I
I've
got.
hung up stuff. Let's not go crazy, but
Well, you have to
Have
hang up the
you?
suit
Yeah.
because then it's going to be wrinkled when you need
I used to have
it.
to wear
Yeah.
suits all the time,
Did you have to?
and I'm liquid.
I was putting away my shit at the hotel last night after I got into town. I did, again, not a drug guy, but I did smoke marijuana with some other people here. It's illegal in California, by the way. And
Not federally though. So.
correct. I'm opening myself up to the DEA. But I looked at my drawers this morning that I put all my shit in last night. It made no sense, the order that I just put. I have my suit in there with my dirty underwear from the night before. I've got like, it's
packed a
put away.
suit?
It's because man, you don't know. We get invited all these top shelf parties.
No,
you know
that's a
how
good point.
it
That's
goes.
a good point.
But there's something
You
about
packed a suit?
yeah. I bring what? Yeah, I pack.
Wait, what party are you actually
what are
bringing
you
a suit
talking
for?
about?
I pack dress pants, and a like a jacket.
A blazer?
What?
Okay, give
And
me
they
your
happen to
roster.
match.
Give
What
me your
party?
roster of yeah. What party?
I don't know. I don't have a party yet, but every
What scenario is going through your mind when you pack the suit
What?
of like,
There-
I need this
so,
just in case?
listen,
Nobody wants to
this
see you.
happens.
They'd kick
not-
you out.
dude,
They're like,
a
that's not
suit?
him.
not to
The
big
Super
time you
Bowl
guys,
week?
but I've covered 7 Super Bowls now, and at
Same.
most of these Super Bowls, I have been invited to one party or another where it's a higher dress up type party where I would feel like, you know how I dress. Here's the thing about me. 99% of the time, I dress like the biggest asshole in the world.
Facts. When he puts on a collared shirt, I'm like, who died?
But that's the point.
I'm
I
wearing
don't think
jeans right now.
anybody
So I have two
wants you.
speeds. I have normal PFT
Go.
speed, and then I've got like
speed.
you're going
Yeah.
to a wedding or a funeral speed.
Yes. No, seriously,
Or a
when he
Super Bowl
puts on, when he has a collared shirt, I'm like, did someone die that I didn't know about? Like, did you come from a funeral? Because it's weird.
Listen, okay, yes. I was vulnerable with you guys. And told you about
Yeah,
my
Don't ever do that again.
I'm never going to do it
roasted
again.
you.
But there's something, I don't know, it's something I picked up recently where I just feel better
Practice
about myself
suits.
if I just put stuff away.
Yeah.
Like I'm building my own little mini
No, I'm
nest.
with you. I started doing that a couple years ago. That when
It's
I would
a big
travel.
move. I like it
It's-
as well.
It is a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
What else you got, PFT?
Let me see. Anybody else want to go? We can cycle around.
Suits. The suits stuff. me.
One that came to mind for me is it kind of boils down to like set the bar low, but not only set the bar low, keep the bar low as long as you possibly can on a lot of different things. And some examples of this, obviously at work, I worked at the Ringer for God knows how long. I've worked at Fox. I think this is we're going on year 3 for me. I don't know how to check my work email is what like how it works. Like when people hit me up, I'm just like, shit, I still haven't learned that. I still haven't been onboarded.
I have.
So
Yes.
there's that, but then also another thing that I've done that has worked well for me is I've pretended that like experiences are my first time. The food. This is the first time I've tried this food. I've gotten free meals out of this. Like,
Ooh.
I've never tried sushi. You guys want to get sushi tonight? And then like you're like, oh my god, you have to. Come on, let's go. And then
That's smart.
and then I'm like, what is that? What
pretty
this
good.
is, you know?
I did that,
So
yeah.
doing
It's like Jimmy being at a Jimmy Buffer concert.
Yeah,
First
that's
time, you're
smart.
being the new
actually,
guy, everyone wants to like
eighth time.
fold. Everyone wants to fold a new guy into like their thing. So if you're like, and they're like, come with me. I'll pay for everything. I'll teach you everything.
That's genius.
It's
and if
good.
you can keep that going as long as you can,
It's
that's
smart for
that's
you.
a winning combo.
But it's sneaky smart, and it helps out everybody else too, because then the night is like, oh, we're introducing Mark to sushi. Everyone else's enjoyment gets raised up. They're like, how do you like the unagi?
Yeah, yeah,
You like
yeah,
that? A lot of
yeah.
people don't like it their first
yeah,
time.
yeah,
great.
exactly.
I like that
Exactly.
move a lot.
Yeah.
This episode of Life is being brought to you by Wood Men's Grooming. Introducing Wood, it's a new men's grooming line offering products across hair, body, beard, and shave. With Wood products, you look your best, smell your best, and you feel your best. Now all you have to do, live your best. We used Wood grooming when we were at the Super Bowl. They kept our hotel room stocked with it. I think we're the best smelling company in the world all week out of that hotel. Everyone smelled great. We've got all these different cool scents. They've got Golden Hour, which smells like smooth brandy and Madagascar vanilla. They've got Summer House, which is my favorite. It's coastal lavender and pink pepper. And Wood is an incredible value as well. Everything's $15 and less. You can shop Wood at getwood.com or at your local CVS. That's GETWOULD.com or at your local CVS. They've got shampoo and conditioner in one, body wash, deodorant. They've got deodorant, moisturizers, face wash, scrub, oils, beard conditioners, and shave cream. Again, everything's $15 or less. You can shop at GETWOULD.com or at your local CVS. Now, here's more life.
I just have something I want to improve on. I wasn't always a great tenant as a renter. My early phases, not a lot of heads up. That whole like, hey, I'm moving out at the end of the month. One time I moved out that day, and the landlord was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm out of here. I gotta leave." He's like, "Today?" He's like, "What about the 30 days thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can't pay this month. Like, I'm moving." And he was just like, "You're an asshole." Not proud of it. So then once I had a little investment property and was in charge, I wanted to be relaxed. I wanted to be a little hands off. And
You're the cool mom.
yeah, I want to
Not
be
like the other
right,
landlords.
Right. I'm like, I'm not gonna hammer you in some of this stuff here or there. So tenants moved out. I was real relaxed about a lot of it. And there was human piss all over a Tempur-Pedic mattress that cost me about $1,500. And they'd taken the mattress cover off. So I was like, all right, this sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks. So I just wanted to see how they would respond. So my life hack was I had two choices. Be professional or dump a piss-stained mattress off in front of the guy's house. And I'm so proud that I didn't choose number 2.
Nice.
So
That's like me not finding the ref's name.
that's right.
Yeah,
that was
you
right.
had the
so
thought.
I was like, what am I supposed to do with this mattress? I guess I could get it steam clean. It's nice. But I said, I'm just going to give the guy a chance. We'll ask him. And I was like, hey, any idea what's going on there? Why the mattress cover was off? Which was definitely on when they checked in because I turned it over. You know, I was very hands-on.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, check with the other guy." I'm like, you just did a check with the other guy to me?"
Mm-hmm.
And so my life hack would be improving on those scenarios in the future. Take a better inventory.
The tenant empowerment era.
Yeah.
You're not a fan of the tenant empowerment era.
I don't want to get political
renting,
about
okay.
this.
The,
There's more renters than landlords, so landlords lose public opinion.
No, yeah.
So that's just the way it is.
I do think
But apparently their mortgage goes away, right?
it is a tough spot to be. I find myself trusting too much.
That was good. I like that, Ryan. That
Oh
was
my god.
People don't think about that.
You trust too much?
They don't care
I
about
trust too
that.
much sometimes. I think that falls into that.
You
Where
think
like
that-
I try to think
Right.
of the best in people and like
I
get
seriously was
burned.
being
I get
so
burned.
awesome about it, and
Yeah.
then I went, "Oh, I got fucking burned."
Yeah, right.
Sweet.
Yeah. Like some guy will send me a pic and I'll be like, this guy's a sharp, and then he'll burn me. It burns me a lot.
Okay. By the way, there was a pic that was sent to Big Cat from me, and I had good intel on it, and it was based on a theory, and it didn't even come close, right?
Yeah.
It was like a disaster out of
Yep.
the gates.
Yep.
And then there was another game where I was like, hey, this is happening tonight. And then because your first impression is everything, right? Even when it's the people you've made impressions with already. But
He sent this to me and Chris Long,
right, I sent it to Chris Long.
and we'd bring it up. It lost so spectacularly,
right. It was
and
horrible.
it was. You know what it was? Do you remember the game?
I do.
Because I do.
Well, of course I remember it because I felt bad about it.
It
the
was
whole time.
Lakers Rockets game 1
Right.
when
First
he was
game
like,
after-
the Lakers are going to destroy the Rockets. The Lakers did destroy the Rockets in games 2 through 6 or 5.
5.
The Rockets crushed the Lakers in game 1.
Yeah, the whole theory was they just gone 7 games. You know, they're going to be a little worn out. Like that turnaround was brutal because if you applied the same theory to the Denver side of the
Yes,
bracket,
yes.
it actually played out perfectly based on what the theory was. And so then the next one was whether or not a guy was going to play. Let's leave this out. And I was like, hey, this is happening tonight. And then he was ruled out. And I was like, that's not right. It's not right. And then you're like, you guys were killing me because you're like, you gave us the pick based on this guy being back, and they just ruled him out again. And I'm like, nope, it's wrong. And then I
Roach
remember
is wrong.
And I remember I even told Big Cat, though, this is where I deserve to be off the hook more, or it should have reset the first impression meter, is I was like, what'd you bet? And you were like, $5,000. And I go, I will bet you $5,000 on what you, I'll take your action then because I'm right. And he did play and you won, but we never fucking hear that story, do we?
Chris and I would bring up the Rockets-Lakers game just randomly, like once every week. Just like
It was
being
endless.
Like, yeah.
You know, you put yourself in the crosshairs of your buddies, try to make them a little cash.
You'd just
you
be
know?
like, what are you guys doing this weekend? And be like, well, I'm not doing anything because I'm poor now because I bet.
Right, but what about the Mississippi State lock?
Yeah,
My only
you had
pick
that.
I gave
You
you
saw
this year.
that. You
What
saw
about
that.
what about the Golden State the other night where I was like, Golden State's actually to come back and win this game?
You did, and I bet that, and I went
Guy,
to sleep.
guy bets money
Yeah.
line, wakes up with a winner.
Yep, that's true. I literally
So-
said to you, I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to bet it. I'm going to go to sleep because I trust you.
So I think I'm 4-1.
Yeah.
We keep
But
hearing
the
about
one
that.
was really, really
No,
bad.
it was terrible because it was a theory based on somebody else's theory who's like a genius.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah.
Damn. All right, I got one. I'm a big believer in this one. And with COVID, we didn't do it for a couple of years because people didn't get together. Be the cooler guy, not the grill guy. That's a big one.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
grill guy at any outing or like barbecue or anything sucks. And people think it's like awesome. It sucks. Cooler guy gets to control the beer. Also, like if you can keep everything cold, everyone's going to be like, "Oh my god, you did a great job." It's like it's not that hard.
How hard is it?
wait,
to
It's
keep
not.
stuff cold?
You- there's
Just being like, "I'll go
back
get
up
the
real quick,
ice.
though,
I'll go
'cause
get this. I'll do that. I'll take care of like the drinks."
When you mean the cooler guy, are you talking about like you're sitting on the cooler?
No,
the
no, no.
entire
I'm talking
time?
about
Is
And
this
they
an
have to
active
ask
role?
you?
Because like
being
I
the
would
guy
just bring the
who
cooler.
goes and gets like, "All right,
That's what
I'll
you're
bring
saying.
the ice."
So you don't
I'll get
do
the-"
anything actually.
Yeah.
Just bring
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes,
Yes.
Right.
but
That's
grill
like the paper
guy,
plate guy.
grill guy sucks. That sucks.
I'm gonna push back on that. I like being the grill guy.
I think it ruins the time. You just basically have to just stand there at the grill.
You're
the
definitely
entire
not there
time.
for the party. You're there to
right.
work. You're there
and
to
then
work
you're like,
for the grill
"Oh,
guy.
this is
but
sick. I'm the grill guy. Well, look at me."
but if you deliver, as the grill guy, you're the guy.
Yeah, but it doesn't
you're
really.
the-
I think
Single,
that
I
fades.
don't know, smelling like fucking burgers.
Yeah, right. And you're just like,
Never get to put any time in.
no one's like, man, that was awesome.
Well,
I'd love to-
I don't
I would've
like
liked
being
to
the
spend
grill
more
guy
time
because
with
like
Yeah.
when you're the grill guy, it's not like you're in charge of a dinner and a show. You're not like entertaining people while you grill. It's just something cool to do. Like I enjoy cooking meat and then putting it out on a plate. It gives me something to do for like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. I like it.
Yeah, I hate I think there's expectations are too high. Everything just feels like you're
a
under
lot
the
of people-
microscope.
I think a lot of people think they can do it.
Yeah,
You
that
can tell.
too.
You can tell a guy immediately, like,
Yeah.
are you going to keep flipping it all day?
Right.
You think you're doing something? You don't really need to
People
do that.
judge you.
Yeah.
It's just nice to not have to worry about it and just be like,
But
I'm not grilling.
But I also think sometimes guy that maybe has some social hang-ups is like, oh, I'll just be a grill guy. Because then it's like, now there's no pressure on me. Like, oh, I'd love to come over and chat.
Yeah,
and be
yeah.
awkward, but
I'm
you know.
grilling.
For me, it's more
That's
about
probably why I like it.
Yeah.
I just like, I was like, my job. I don't have to talk to anybody. I'm just gonna try to make sure this brisket is.
Jesus.
you can also
That
like convince
backfired.
yourself that when you feed everybody, you're like everyone here would have died if it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
don't-
exactly.
provide nutrients to everybody.
That's
You're
that's
welcome.
you spending
Yeah.
too much time with Billy football.
But
That's true. Yeah.
people would rather have cooler guys show up.
The cool guy showing
Yeah.
up is great. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and just being like, I got the drinks, I'm bringing the ice, I'm doing like, dude, who doesn't want like? I just
I'm
love-
cooler guy. I'm cooler guy to the beach. That's become my thing. is
Yeah.
I've become cooler guy, and it's a great job because it's not an active job though.
Right.
Yeah, that's
it's
the,
you
that's,
do it and then
You
it's
do it. You
set.
bring it, and then you sit there.
Yeah,
and you
and
just
but
don't-
also people are always like, dude, if you're like, oh, you need a beer? Oh, you need an extra beer?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah,
It's a fucking you get a lot of rewards for that.
yeah.
I'll admit that in Ubers, sometimes in person, I'll pretend I can't speak English.
when you get in the car, how do you say it? How do you let them know?
I'll just be like, un peu je parle.
A little French.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Because
good.
I have enough French, I can say a few sentences in the accents. I've always been strong with my accents. They've always said that. But I'll just be like, you know, je vais à la plage. And they're just like, that's just, I want to go to the beach, which technically I do. But they just freaks everybody out.
Life
Yeah.
hack: don't
Freaks
speak
out.
English.
So
Yeah.
I've had solicitors.
I just
you
go
know, show up.
headphones.
Because I used to get a little more aggressive with the solicitors. I used to look forward to the confrontation where I'd get out of the gym and be like, hey, man, I want to talk to you. I love those sneakers. You just get out of the gym? Fuck off. I'm not signing up for your thing. And just to see, because it's like you've been harassing people all day.
Yeah.
And like one guy, and they get so mad at you because like one guy's like, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I don't want there to be any confusion. And then it'll be like, whoa. So I was like, all right, stop doing that. So now a guy will come up and I'll just be like, you know, like, nous allons à la plage.
You are French, yeah.
Right. It's we want to go to the beach.
The nice thing in New York is you literally just don't have to look at anyone. Ever.
No, but I've gotten in a couple, like back in the day when Soho, there would just be dudes that would like harass you with the CD thing.
You just never say
no.
anything.
They're still there.
You never say
it's
anything.
not as bad as it used to. It used to be so bad because everybody was just afraid to not give the person $5 or $10 because he'd be like, "Wait, now you wanted money for the
Yeah, right,
Now
right.
you're holding it, and
Now you
that's
feel
a-
like you're stealing
yeah,
if you
yeah,
walk
right.
away with
That's a
it.
transaction, and I would just be like, "Nope, I don't want your fucking CD." And the guy would be like, you know, and then people kind of look around. And you're like, "All right, you can relax a little on this one. There's an easier way to do this." But I just like to be I'm going to be very certain.
You like a little bit of confrontation.
I do.
Oh, you live off of it.
Yeah. How long do you have to go for that itch to start creeping up where you're like, I really want to get into a shouting argument?
It is.
I'm not talking about like just straight up arguments with. I'm not.
You
that-
strike me as a guy who making a citizen's arrest is on your bucket list.
Oh yeah.
Like you would love
You
to
definitely
like
wanna do
hey,
that.
you'd be like,
I
hey,
had my
hey,
chance.
you
Yeah.
can't do that, and then you're
Nah.
You walk
it's
up,
like-
yeah,
no,
like when
yeah.
you see like
Wrong.
cops, just like with the yellow tape, you walk up, you're like, you need any help here?
So I just
good?
went from cool to Dwight Schrute in record time. No, that's not the case. And honestly, if I had beaten up the stalker, probably that would have been that was my shot.
Do you think you could have taken him?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, not that I'm so, but I could no. You're wrong on that. I like confrontation, but not to the point of like I don't want to just start arguing with strangers all the time. You would have to start.
I'm
right.
on your side.
Right. You
I
would have to
think-
do something
yes.
that I don't want you to do to me.
Yes.
And I'm just going to make sure you know immediately, like, no, this is not, like, no.
I got into one the other day in my neighborhood. There's like a shitload of construction. I was driving my car, and there was like a shitload of like trucks and everything. So there's one way to go through, and me and this guy hit the hole at the exact same time. And I'm not joking. I sat for 5 minutes, and he sat for 5 minutes, and we just were honking at each other, like motherfucking each other, and it was thrilling. Finally, some truck moved, so we both could be like, "All right, we got to win."
Did you guys respect each other? You think when it was done?
It was like a little. I think so. Like, but I put down my window. He put down. He's like, "Fuck you! I was here first. No, fuck you." And I know I shouldn't do this because like people are crazy with road rage. Like, you could have had a gun, but it gave me adrenaline for the rest of the day.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. We were just standing there, like sitting there, literally just looking at each other, like, "Fuck you! No, fuck you! Like you moved. No, I was here first."
You think it would have taken him?
Yeah, I probably could have.
It's like
I did.
that clip of those two guys
No one
flipping
can
each
answer
other off.
that.
It was awesome.
Just
Dude, it
fingers
was-
to each other's face.
but those are
guys
thrilling.
Those guys probably went on and had the best day of their lives.
Yes, because you like walk away and you're like, "Wow, that was kind of a rush."
Those guys knew each other, don't they?
Yeah, it was a fake, so
Right,
that
yeah.
kind of put a damper on it. But you
Like
can imagine
everything?
if you were in that scenario, it would have felt good for the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Like to get into an actual argument with somebody face to face on the street. Because I feel like we're too nice sometimes. We hold back.
Yeah, I think if we were allowed, like, and again, it has to be, I would say, in retaliation to something that's happening. Like, I have this, it's a horrible deal. And if you ever read the things like Russillo shot in the street, I'm going to tell you exactly where it happens because outside of the Equinox,
Whoa,
there's this.
that was
right,
a left turn.
There's outside of the Equinox, there's 2 lanes, and you can go left or right for the most part, right? And there's an exit of a strip mall because it happened again today. And there is like 3 cars and get to the light, and then behind that, with these massive lanes out here, you have to leave the area clear so people can get out, and then you stop at almost like a second area behind it. It's fairly common out here. What always happens is there's some guy leaving the strip mall that sees that gap and goes, "Well, I'll just pull out
Yes.
Right.
and get behind the car." And
Yep.
not only do you cut everybody that's like obeying what you're supposed to do, you then also cut off the other lane to turn right. And everybody does it, and it's like half the time. And I always make sure I leave the gap. And then now when I see somebody try to sneak in, I just go, "Well, fuck it then. I'll just pull up." And then they get caught, and they think I've cut them off. And I'll just be like, how did you think this was going to work? Like, what do you think was going on? Like, you were going to be the one that did it? You were going to be the one, and now you think I'm wrong because I did the right thing or the wrong, and it's just like, I'm going to get shot. And the worst is I'm right after I get out of the gym, so I'm so fucking
Yeah, you
amped
got
up.
the- yeah.
Yeah.
Feed
So
the
it's-
wolf.
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
Pre-workout?
What's that?
What pre-workout?
Oh, just anger.
you don't take it. You remember Jack? Did you ever take Jack?
Yeah, I
3D?
took Jack.
Jacked was the absolute best. I don't know what happened to the original formula Jacked, but I'm pretty sure that it was meth. I think that there was a chemical in it. It was like the dimethylene 1,3 germanium extract.
look,
it was methamphetamines.
That was nuts. And the one that was really fucked up, you all be too young for it. Did I just yawl? I don't know. I don't know if I like that I did that. Is Ultimate Orange. Look that up.
Okay.
That was like, I was taking that, I think, my early 20s, and I came home because I was like off for a semester. I was going to work construction. Didn't work out. And I would come home and, I didn't have any money, so I'd go up to my parents' house to get some food or something. And I'd leave the gym, and my father would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" So I don't know. There's Ultimate Orange. They banned that. They banned that 20 years ago. That's how bad that was.
Damn, this ain't your daddy's pre-workout.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, increased muscle mass, strength, energy, and focus. That's what they all say, though.
What's
It's like,
in it though? I don't even know if I want to know.
Why was Ultimate Orange pre-workout banned? It caused strokes, seizures, cardiac arrhythmia, and heart attacks. It had ephedra in it. That's why. Ephedra was the one that it was in a lot of pre-workouts.
That was in
and
Jack
so-
too?
No, Jack had actually. I'm pretty sure it was synthetic meth that was in it, and so they re-released it with a different formula, and all the forums exploded. They're like, "Whatever happened to all the Jack?" Then people went out there and they bought.
They
all
bought
their
the
remaining
old
supplies.
ones, yeah.
So guys had like garages just filled with tubs, and the price of each container skyrocketed to like $150 as opposed to $29.99. It was a problem for a lot of people. It was not an easy come down. I have one that I wrote here it's kind of serious but kind of a joke. But we all find ourselves in situations where we're eating somebody's food, or if you're at a brewery and somebody put a lot of time and work into creating something, you take a sip or a bite of it and you just hate it immediately, and you don't know what to say ever. Just say, there's a lot going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of flavor. Wow. There's a lot going on.
That's really good.
What's-
Very
that is a
simple.
good
What's
one.
the Guy Fieri? He does. What does he say when it's like the meanest thing he says?
Because he's so nice, right?
Yeah, but he
doesn't-
says
right.
something that's like that's a tell. Oh fuck!
Did he share it with you guys? I'd love to know this information.
I can't remember.
It might have been just a wow.
Yeah, or like the.
He
like
just
that
gives you a
wow
basic
flavors.
wow.
He gives you
Yeah.
one wow with Guy Fieri, you're in trouble.
But a lot going on is good.
He usually, if he goes, wow, that's out of bounds, then that's good. But
But
if
I
he's
gotta
just
find
like, wow.
it. I gotta find it. But keep going. Sorry.
This is
you're deep
amazing
shit.
intel. Yeah.
And then the kind of serious one is, I wish I had written more notes to people, like small notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is going back to hotels, and again, I'm thinking about hotels because I'm currently in one, so it's top of my mind. But if you write like a small note to the housekeeping staff when they come by, they're like people whose jobs are so monotonous and boring. If you just write like a small note to them, being like, "Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for cleaning the room," it can make their day. Like I got into a note off one time with the housekeeping staff at it was in Indianapolis at the Combine. I wrote like a little note thanking them the first night. Then my room was clean. They wrote me a note back saying, "Thank you so much for leaving me this note. Brighten my day." Then I feel pressure where I have to write like an even better note. So now I have to like sit down and think about what I'm going to write on my second note back to
This
them.
sounds like an assignment. This doesn't
Yeah.
sound
Yeah, I
like-
got myself
a lot.
into like a little bit
No,
of
I'm with you,
whirlpool, but-
PFT. I'm
but
with you. Notes are
because think about the last time you got like a handwritten note from somebody. It makes you feel better. It makes like
Yes.
it's a small bit of connection that you can do with somebody.
Yes.
I think that both parties benefit from.
Van Pelt used to do a handwritten note for every guest we had.
Really?
Then I think
Damn.
Would he ever ask you to sign it?
no, they didn't want my name on anything.
Wait,
back
what?
in the beginning.
I was on that. I was on your radio show. I never got a handwritten note. That must have been.
Interesting. That might have been an impermissible benefit.
Well, what year? What year were you on with us?
Would have been 09. I got my first taste of controversy with you guys because I believe you asked me which cheerleaders in the Big Ten were the least attractive, and
That doesn't sound like us.
I said
09
Northwestern.
humor.
Yeah, I said Northwestern, and then it wasn't
Who
really.
were they
like,
offended because it's Purdue?
Yeah, Purdue- I gotta be careful. I've been worked into a pretzel because my mother went to Purdue and played basketball and is in the Hall of Fame at Purdue. And anyone that grows up in Indiana knows that like no women go to Purdue, and that like you just want to make jokes about there are no women at Purdue. And yet my own mother,
Yeah.
so I'm like put in like I want to do it so bad, but then I don't know. So anyway.
Work that Hall of Fame.
Speaking of
thing,
Purdue,
by the
I got
way.
a life hack, Dan. You'll like this. Because my mom goes to Purdue, one thing I do for her every year is I give $35. That's her jersey number to the Purdue University in her name. And what it has allowed me to do, the life hack, is that I grew up an Indiana fan. I don't really care for Purdue that much. I can now shit on Purdue with free reign because
Yes.
I'm technically donating to the school and I'm technically a
Yes.
booster. So that's a life hack maybe. Like throw 10, 20 bucks to your rival school.
Yeah.
And then you're allowed to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's
Donate.
worked out
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
That actually is a good one.
Building
I
in
like
small excuses for yourself is always important.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that that's what you landed on? That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Don't give money. Don't like give time. Just like only do something nice for somebody else if it's going to benefit you in the long run. Yeah.
I had a one for bachelor parties. Get up early one morning and clean the whole place. You're the king for the whole weekend. There's that one guy, like if you get a house, if you make the effort, because it's always that like who's cleaning, everyone knows the
Yeah.
asshole who doesn't do anything. If you're just like one morning you're like, all right, I'm getting up, and like everyone's gonna get up and they're gonna see the whole place is clean, you now have like basically checked off your I've done something to help the crew here.
To expand on that, I think just the every so often grand gesture in general is a great play.
Right.
The like selectively picking up the tab. If you're someone that doesn't have a lot of money and you know that you can't not pick up the tab every single time. One time when you're at like maybe a mid-tier restaurant, you're not out at the really fancy place with all the friends. You're like, you know what, guys, I got this one, and then they'll remember it forever. You know,
Yes.
like that was a trick I pulled with my rich friends once they got to the NBA and they'd come back. I would try like once every like 2 years. I would pick up the tab, and they would all look at me like, "What the fuck?" Like, and then I feel like in my mind I've positioned myself, unlike all those other mooches over here. Like I'm trying, I'm doing my best, and I don't know.
It also is like if you are in a spot where you've made some money and you have people you're working with who haven't, like doing the little things of like picking up lunch, doing shit like that. Like it actually, it matters. You know what I mean? And like people, I also am a big believer in like if you're in a spot where you're whatever job you're in and you have people that do a really like good job helping you be better, you have to make sure that you take care of them. Like I heard a story once that like Saban just like he has everyone over to his house, like everyone, literally like ball boys, like everyone who has anything to do with the program, and like everyone gets like a huge Christmas bonus, and it's like from like every person down the line, and it's like that type of thing. Like if you're in a spot where you have the ability to do that, it means a lot to people, and you don't want to be the guy who doesn't do that.
Who was it that we were talking to that had like Matt LaFleur over, and he thought he was going to a party? But
Brian Kelly.
yeah, but
that's Ryan's guy.
your guy, Brian Kelly, and he was
He was
just,
with Sala, right?
he was just the
That
valet.
matters.
He was the cooler guy.
That story's so bad, I almost can't believe it's true. Like apparently Kelly invited Sala and LaFleur over, and they thought they were going to a Christmas party, and instead they stayed outside and parked
Yeah.
cars.
They parked cars for me.
But like little shit like that, it's like there's
I don't even know. I
there's-
don't know. That's so bad. If
there,
it's true.
But there is like
I
you
think
have
that-
to take care of people that are.
No, but there's a bigger thing than what you're saying, and you're
Yeah.
right. You're totally
Yeah.
right. And you may not learn it till a little bit later. You also have to be the person that's in position. Like, look, early on, Van Pelt paid for every dinner.
Right.
Okay, he just knew he was going to pay for everybody. He's going to take care of everybody. Then I get to a certain point where it's like, hey, let me grab a check here. Like, I know it's your move.
Yep.
But let me grab one, just
Yeah,
like
just
Titus was talking about. Like, it's almost like if I remember like dating somebody when I was younger, and she didn't have any money, I didn't have any money, and I paid, and then like once a month she'd be like, I got it, and it meant the world to me.
It's a good point.
Right?
The reverse.
And I've had other people I've hung out with where they had money and they wouldn't fucking cross the street for $10, and they'd ask me for it instead.
Right.
And you're just like, look, it's just little. But I think what you're saying is like, I'll get all these life advice emails about, well, we had the bill was this, and then after this vacation, it ended up being all these different things. And it can sound like, well, hey, you guys are now older and you've made some money. You're more dismissive. And I'm like, look, we just spent all this time talking about how hard it was to make friends and to meet friends when you're older and stuff. And some of you fucking guys want to argue over $75 from a fucking
Yes.
bachelor party weekend where you're ready to tour. And I get like, hey, there is a guy in the group that always thinks he's winning by not kicking in money.
Right.
And it fucking sucks. And the only thing you can do is just keep hammering him on it when he keeps doing it all the time. And that's his role in the friend group. But don't be so like ready to go on some of the money stuff where it's like you realize like some of the stuff you guys are going to lose lifelong friends over
Right.
50 or 75. Look, if somebody keeps doing it, like I said, I can understand it being an issue, but I can't believe how many emails we get. And you're just like, all right, you want to start cutting guys off because of happy hour after fucking at 26 years old? Go ahead,
don't-
but you're going to
yeah.
regret it.
And sometimes it's easier to just like there have been situations where it's like, oh, there's a security deposit or something like, all right, well, let me cover it and like we'll all be happy. You know what I mean? Like not making everything. There's something about like when you get a little older where it's like, hey, you all go out to like breakfast or brunch or something. It's like maybe don't like split it all up. Like there's just something about.
It's finding that line all the
Yes,
time, and that's kind of what it
yes.
is, where you could be like, all right, one guy shouldn't get stuck with everything all the time, but I also don't want to be here with a fucking calculator down to the decimal
Correct.
point after a golf trip.
Because it
either.
makes it lessens everyone's like enjoyment. But yeah, I do think taking care of people who make you whatever job it is, who make your job easier and your life easier is super important. And it doesn't have to be cash. It can just be like, hey, what you do for me is like very important and very vital to my success.
Here's a hoodie I don't want.
Yeah, here the pile. Take anything from the pile.
I should also include that with the notes, you also should leave some money.
I was wondering because I was like,
yeah, no,
I bet you
this
they'd
is
rather
better
a
than any
10
money I
spot.
can give you.
Yeah.
It's
it's
a
a-
personal thank you from
Yeah,
me.
but do the bachelor party one like, and also I've later like don't do it when you're in 20s, but when you're in 30s, don't be ashamed of just leaving the bachelor party early. Like I do the like late like if I go to Vegas,
I think that's lame
why.
Yeah,
because
Everyone's dead.
We've spent all this
It
time.
depends on the
right.
how much time you're there.
Right, but you don't get those like we've had trips like that. I've gone through them. I remember one weekend years ago where by the time Saturday rolled around, I was like, because we'd done Thursday and Friday like idiots. 'Cause
That's
we were so
what
young.
I'm talking
And
about.
I just went, I don't want to go out tonight. I'm over it. I'm done. And then, my other buddy was like, we all flew from all over the country to be here. What are you going to do? Get a movie? Like, you're going to sit here and watch a movie and to get takeout? Like, you have to go.
It's not.
So I don't like to
it's
bail
not
out
that
early.
night. It's the early morning. I'll always just leave. I'll be the first to leave in the morning.
That's,
I don't like to
I get it.
sit around and like.
Yeah, that like you're
Like the
just saying
Sunday,
on the get out day. Everyone's
out.
getting out anyway.
I'm out.
Be the first one.
Right.
Not to leave the party early.
Yeah,
The
you're
problem
right
with
about
though, is
that.
like how much community cleanup is going to be involved on the
Yeah.
last day.
Yeah, but that's also like part of the like.
if you get up early, clean the whole place up, and then leave.
Yeah.
I think that's
Also,
Yeah, that's
for
good
bachelor
move.
parties, however much cocaine you're gonna get, it's not gonna be enough.
I wouldn't know. I don't use drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Or Jack 3.
I also had one that you.
That was a pre-workout you would take, and then just you go to the gym and then just sit on the toilet for 30 minutes and be like, "Well, I can't work out. I've been in the bathroom this long. I got to get to work, get home, get showered." That was a bad decision. Really gets the insides moving.
Be the guy though on the bachelor party that does something for everyone like that. Like clean up, go get breakfast, do something. That's a
Golf
big
towels.
Move. It's a big move. No. you got
Embroidered
gifts.
golf towels. Yeah.
I'm talking about like oh, I'm gonna go.
My
like,
drinking group has a friendship problem.
hats. I have one for you, Ryan, and Titus for pickup hoops.
I'll let Titus go on this one. I'm embarrassed to be in such company.
No, because this is more. Well, it's actually more for me, but you guys might hate this move. But when you get tired in pickup hoops, just saying the wrong score so that you get an extra like timeout. So everyone has to stop and you have to count. Everyone's
That's
like,
a good
who's got like, all right, I got 2, you got 4. So just kind of like making it a little foggy so you get that extra breath.
That's really good.
That's a big
That's
one.
a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great
And you can't do it if you haven't scored though. Because like it's
you
very
have to-
important to be like,
yeah.
well, I have 2. Because there's
Yeah.
nothing worse than being like, what does everyone have? And you're like, I got
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Titus, I have 9. It's 9-4.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
One that came to mind was I've picked up on my neighbors from this is that you can let your dog do whatever the fuck it wants as long as you say, "Oh my god, he never does this,"
Yep.
as he's doing it. That's a good life hack. So just like let your dog just run fucking wild and get up all in strangers' business and then run over and just say,
He's
I don't
never
know.
done this.
He never does this.
I have a buddy that did this, and it was amazing because it was the funniest thing ever to watch. If there was some sort of confrontation from like an older person yelling at you, like, "Hey, you shouldn't park there" or whatever, he would just go, "What?" And the guy would be like, "You shouldn't park there." "What?" Like, "No, you can't park." "What?"
Yeah.
And then by the 5th or 6th what, he would realize, oh, I get a real Weisenheimer here.
But then,
Buddy,
like,
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
what you just exactly what you just did right there was actually the reaction that I think that they would get once you realize what he's doing. You're like, okay, and it's almost like you're exasperated. You're like, we got an
Yeah.
asshole. What? Okay,
Yeah.
buddy. And then you turn around and walk away. Confrontation's over.
Yeah, it's
Kinda
actually brilliant.
neutralizes it.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we'd all be sitting around laughing hysterically because we were like, how many whats is he going to get to?
To that same point, if you ever don't get into a fight, bar fights are very dangerous. I've learned that. Bar fights, they look cool on TV. Bar fights are scary. But if you do find yourself in a fight, you know what a good move is? Like right before the fight, somebody's always, you're woofing at each other a little bit. The guy says something to you, ask him, be like, what'd you just say? And then as he starts to repeat himself, that's when you punch him. Because he's focused on remembering what he just said and repeat it. He never expects the punch in that situation.
Here's another one for bar fights. I haven't been in a bar fight in a very, very long time. But
Can we hear about that story?
which one?
Whoa.
Most
Roadhouse.
recent bar fight. Yeah, we got
No,
we got
I was
Dalton
going to
over
say
there.
if you ever get in a bar fight or a situation, don't punch anyone. Just choke them. Just go straight to the choke.
Or just, you know what a good move is too?
It's a move that no one expects. If you just grab someone by the neck.
Life hack, choke him.
No, it's seriously.
You're keeping your bod pretty tight.
Because everyone's like, holy shit, is there a choking going on? And then it stops.
If you double leg somebody and you just take them down
Wait,
and you hold them on the ground,
Yeah, you make them tap.
Eventually, while the whole fight is happening around you, you and this guy will just be holding each other so long that you'll both get tired.
Yep.
And then you'll just kind of like have the gentleman's agreement of, okay, the real fight's over there. We're done with our little piece right here.
Also, yeah.
I feel like PMT's been a secret badass pod. Nobody knew.
We're the most
started
violent
when
show.
You broke it down that you could fucking fight us.
Yeah, but that was in jest. And then what happened? I feel like, do we have Cerruti matched up with Hank? Because I didn't like
bodied.
I didn't like Cerruti's chances in that one, Hank. And then Billy was involved. I forget.
You don't like the choke move?
It's serious. I mean,
You're playing a dangerous
it's going to get a reaction.
It really does end things pretty quickly because no one really wants to like have a choking.
I had a bottle cracked over my head once. It sucked. I was back up visiting. I literally had just walked in from a long road trip, so I hadn't even been drinking. And I get in, and I remember because I had one of those sick North Faces on that we had to have like 3 different colors of, and somehow something happened, but it was my friend's bar, so I was trying to help, and then I got like grabbed from behind, and the guy was like, I'm a cop, I'm off duty, and I'm just getting pummeled in the fucking head, being like, I was afraid to do anything because I thought a cop had me, and then I got hit over the head with a beer bottle, which actually, if it hits in the right spot, it's not that big of a deal, and then I turned around, and it was just a decent-sized patron. And I'm like, what the fuck did you do? And I'm cleaning up the blood on the side of my head. I'm like, why would you do that? And the thing is I wasn't even in pain as much as I was so annoyed that I was like, I have been back in town 20 minutes.
Right.
I'm like, this sucks.
Just showed up.
And I go, I was trying to help out. And I'm, this sucks. And he's like, well, he goes, I thought you were going to turn around and start hauling on me. So I just grabbed you. And then I said I was a cop. And he goes, it worked. And I'm like, yeah, great. And now I have fucking glass in my head. And, I would not try any of those moves.
Yeah.
Unless you want to do the fake cop. Again, we cannot endorse pretending to say you're on the job, impersonating an officer, but it worked out for him, not so much for me.
Stealing valor is never okay.
Right. Ever. All right, what else we got? We wrap up soon.
Ryan, did you listen to today's podcast, Part of My Take? I know you're a big fan.
Well, I listened to the whole road trip part of it, where Billy was talking about how well the speed carries. I'm a big Billy fan.
Yeah.
I just am.
I was curious if you listened to the one today because you and I share a bond.
Eskimo Brothers?
I too. I walked into the wrong hotel room in Memphis. It was double booked, and there were rose petals everywhere. And it's tricky because my key worked, and I was like,
all right.
Key did work.
No, my key did work.
It
and I was
did?
Like, yeah, my key worked. I got in, and
You didn't end up national news or on Facebook for 48 hours, did you?
no, did not.
If a bet's going bad, I like to pretend that I bet on the other team, so like the winning bet, and see if I can like reverse it that way. So I'll do that.
You do that all the time.
Yeah, I do that all the time. And also the mental math of gambling is very important. Like,
Your Xbox PlayStation 5 giveaway tweet when a bet is going bad. Did you not, be honest, had you seen that anywhere else? You just straight up invented that on your own.
So a couple guys in our or Jersey Jerry and a couple other people, Stanford Steve got hacked, and John Rothstein.
I got hacked, but I got boxed out.
Really?
Then I went on a rant, and then it was fixed.
They got hacked like 3 weeks prior.
By the way, it was really weird. I didn't even notice. After a couple days, I was like, "Oh, that's right, I don't have it."
That is weird.
Crazy.
Yeah, I saw they actually got hacked, and when they did, I was like, I'm gonna use this, and I was like, this is just gonna be in my back pocket whenever something goes bad. And people like our social team text me every time. They're like, "Dude, you got hacked." Gottlieb, oh my god.
Gottlieb texted you, right? Yeah.
Gottlieb texted me. He's like, "Bro, you got hacked." I was like, "No." I was like, "No, Doug. Wisconsin is losing to Illinois right now very badly." And he's like, "No, bro, you got hacked." I'm like, "No, Doug." And he's like, "The PS5s?" I was like, "Yes, I tweeted that." He's like, "I don't know, man." I was like, "I don't know. I tweeted that."
Doug's like, "Who is this? Prove that you're Dan Katz."
Yeah, no,
With
it's
a picture of
beautiful
today's
thing. I'm gonna keep
newspaper.
doing it.
Yeah.
It's a foolproof because everyone just like, and then you gotta like, I just go to sleep after. Just stop. Don't treat for the rest of the night.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
I've got one more. I've mentioned this one before, but I feel like it needs to be said here because it's really gotten me out of some tough situations back when I had like a corporate job when I was in the real world. And if you're ever in a business meeting or talking to your boss and there's something that you did incorrectly or something that you failed to do, instead of saying like, I thought we were supposed to do this, this, and this, say, my understanding was that I was supposed to do this, this, and this. It's a great way of saying the exact same thing, but also making it like halfway seem like you have your shit together because you had an understanding. They hear people say like, I thought, when you hear I thought, what pops to their head is, here comes an excuse. When you say, my understanding was, they're like, somebody else screwed up. This guy used a big word. He's got his shit together.
I like that.
That's
I
a good
like
one.
that. I got not what. Anything else you guys got?
Is that it?
The only other one I have is when you're golfing. Just everyone knows I do this. This is my move, but just to yell, you're gonna love that off the tee for anything, and then it works. Even if they have a bad shot, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're gonna love that when they're clearly in the woods. It always kills.
I would encourage people to call for more meetings. Now that I've been out in LA for a couple of years, people love fucking meetings. And they love telling you who you could meet with,
Just
and they'll
sitting
set
and
up a
meeting.
meeting. I would say you should take that back to like the Midwest sensibilities, maybe Northeast, Pacific Northwest, American Southwest,
Yeah.
turquoise.
Shout out turquoise.
Just if you're at the office or you're 23, just start asking people to meet.
Do you ever
yeah,
say,
no, you do feel important when you got a meeting. It's like, oh, I got a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget this one intern, like, emailed Greeny. This guy was out of control. He was the most aggressive intern I've ever seen in my entire life. He would just start emailing guys on the corporate email to be like, would like to set aside some time with you for like 30 minutes or whatever. And Greeny was like, do I know? And he would like leave the voice out. He's like, why do I have a lunch at 10:45 with, did I agree to this? What? And he was so confused. And it happened to Van Pelt. Van Pelt one time was like, who the fuck is this guy? And this intern was just running around ESPN,
That's smart.
just booking meet. And he would actually he would phrase it in a way that was vague.
Right.
So it wasn't like, do you want to meet? Because that's a
Right.
no. It would be like, was hoping to follow through on the time I'd set aside.
Right,
And you're like,
right.
what the fuck is going on?
That's
so
genius.
again, that guy went a little too hard with it. And then once everybody kind of figured him out, I think he got a talking to because it was like, hey, I don't think Chris Fowler is going to meet with you anytime soon. I don't. Chris Fowler wouldn't meet with me. But don't be afraid to maybe, hey,
Set
I'd
a
like
meeting?
to follow up on something you said here.
Yep.
And take that LA sensibility and apply that to
Ooh,
other places.
I like that. Off of that too, my favorite thing to do, and I think most people know this, but like maybe like first week of December is the perfect time to be like, let's touch base after New Year's. And just fucking
yeah.
push everything.
Yeah.
Like you can start that like the day after Thanksgiving. Like
Should
you know
work in
what?
Hollywood.
Let's
Hollywood
save this for
basically-
after New Year's.
Hollywood doesn't do vacations. They shut down like seasonally.
Yeah, right.
I'll be like, hey, can you get this in? And I'm like, why do I have to? Be like, wow, people are going to pick it back up around February 12th. You're like, what?
The meeting thing is good though. It really does make you feel important when you're like, let's have a meeting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Like to meet.
do you ever say, have you reached a point in life where you refer to hanging out with somebody as like visiting? Like I visit,
No, that's
I
old
visited with this person.
Yeah.
I heard an older person say that, and it made it sound like it was such like a quaint experience. I thought like maybe I'll start saying like, yeah, we had a nice visit.
I'd hold off on that for a bit.
Okay,
Yeah, no, that's
just something-
definitely- What are you talking about?
something I'll aspire to say one
Yeah,
day.
no, is it?
There you go,
It's
making
just-
yourself
it's-
vulnerable again. you
Yeah,
stump
I
I
bitch.
don't even know how to use it in a sentence.
Yeah.
It sounded
Like,
super
that's just like,
folksy.
that's when someone's on hospice.
Yes,
Like,
no,
I
it
visited
sounded
Yeah,
super
like,
You guys
folksy. I
go
was
visit
like,
Russillo?
Yeah.
she was like, I
Someone's
really
about to
enjoyed
die.
visiting with so and so. I was like, that sounds like way more than just a conversation.
No, you visit someone to check to make sure they're alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one day I'll do that.
Yeah, they send us
visit.
here to be like, is Russillo, is he ever going to come out of his house? Like, we'll do a life.
I leave usually once a day.
Wow. Good for you. Leave your house once a day. That's life advice.
Get that vitamin D. The sun here is just incredible. I got sunburned today because
You look great.
I'm refusing to put on a shirt unless I really have to.
Guys are good
Do we have any Super Bowl thoughts? I mean, like,
Well, this is going after, but we
oh, this is
can
going
really
after.
look
All right,
stupid.
never
You want
mind.
to do it real quick?
don't know.
Real quick.
I was
Last
just-
2 minutes. Let's look stupid.
I don't know. It's just it's hard living in LA and having just an entire city rallying behind a team like they are at the Like, have you seen people in the streets like high fiving?
I don't leave this area.
since I haven't seen this city buzzing for the Rams since like Chip Kelly was hired. Like the city has not buzzed for anything. Like
Really?
It's
More
like,
than Mick Cronin?
It's like Mick Cronin, Chip Kelly. No,
Is this the greatest collection of winners LA's ever had?
Whose city is this? No, if it's going out, who gives a shit then? I don't
Is it a bad sports town?
No, not at all. It's anybody that thinks that LA. Dude, the Lakers thing is as intense as any single fan base anywhere I've
It's
ever
a bad
been.
sports town, and I'll tell you why. If you
You're
go to a
wrong.
bar, there's not a guarantee. Like, pick a bar. It's not a guarantee they're showing a game.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to tell them
that
to put
would
a game
drive
on.
me nuts.
How is that not? That's like,
on a Saturday, you can't just
It's
walk
open
into
and
a bar.
closed right there.
Right.
That like a Saturday, you have to walk in and be like, "You got college football?" And they're like, "What is it?"
Right.
All right, that's fine, but I'm just saying there's this belief that like no one cares about stuff out here.
No, they'll fight. Like
and-
Dodgers
and-
fans will fight you, obviously.
Right. The
Like
Lakers
they get-
thing is
and-
crazy, and half of the Lakers thing is like only Kobe.
Right.
Like I could argue that Kobe's relevance to this city, the connection. I'm trying to think. Like I guess you could say Jeter, but that doesn't feel as tight as the Kobe thing. Like it feels like 1950s,
No, I
like
agree with
Mickey
you.
Mantle
Yeah.
shit. Where like literally every kid that grew up in any borough, well, granted Brooklyn probably had some problems with it because they, losing the Dodgers, but now we're doing a little history lesson. And then Marvin Miller. So you guys didn't even get the joke. That's how bad it was. So I don't know. Like I would put Kobe on whatever. There's not 5 people in modern sports that are more connected to the way a city loves them than Kobe in LA. And
I'd agree with that. I
Yeah.
found out.
I agree with that, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
right.
Well, Ryan, thank you for hosting us. Sorry we went long. That was fun.
It was about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
50.
Half hour.
two-parter.
This is actually just the intro. You want to do the ad and then we'll get to the show?
Let's do 7 parts.
Do
I
you
love
guys have-
doing this. I
Yeah,
love
do you
talking
guys
to
have
you
fun
guys.
doing it? I have fun doing
I
it.
have fun doing it. We should do it more often.
Yes.
And yeah, maybe do it on someone else's home turf at some point.
Let's
I don't
fucking
know.
do it.
I don't know.
Anytime you guys want us.
What are we complaining? But you guys had to come here.
No,
I'm saying we do it on
Someone else's podcast.
Yeah, someone else. We don't want to solely.
Yeah,
Russillo
well, I'm
this,
in.
But,
We're in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ryan, I have one last question. Are we friends, or all of us? Do you consider us
That's
your
a good
friend?
question.
Yeah. Probably just Dan though.
Okay, that's fair.
But what about that? What about that Rockets Lakers game? That was bad. I mean, that was a really bad.
That was a
They
good
lost by
callback,
like
Titus.
20.
It's a great call.
That was a
It was
shout out
so
to you.
bad. They lost by
And that
20.
what I just did right there was
It was a
call
callback.
Yeah,
to
it's
my
your
callback.
callback.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
serious.
Callback,
Like,
callback.
Russillo was like, "This is going to be the easiest money you ever made."
Easiest money ever. Not many people gave out Mississippi State A&M though.
That's true. Facts.
Love you guys.